everybody. Time for another special report. Hang in there. I'll be right there. All right. Let's see. This is up and running. Everything's, yes, is it going? It seems to be going. It seems to be all right. Yes. I guess I could learn a thing or two about a thing or two. Oh. Yes. Oh, good. Okay, it's up and running. Excellent. Just a bit of a delay. Thanks. Okay, screw it. Let's just jump right in. Hi, everybody. Welcome. It is Hal Sparks, Megaworldwide. This is a Project 2025 special report. This is Chapter 3, Great Advice from Project 2025. Now, I know what you're thinking. How is that possible? How could you even pretend to say that Project 2025 has anything to add to my life, to your life, to the sparklers' lives in any way? Ethically, morally, intellectually, psychosexually, not at all. You're absolutely right. But materially, as far as plans, strategies, tactics, that could possibly be something we could glean from this. Now, why do I bring this up? Besides, I know ahead of time what this is going to be because these are the only videos that I pre-watch because this is a special report. I would like to take you now, if I may, and join me in. By the way, hello, chat room. Lovely to see you guys here. I know I'm on early. That's what this is for. Regular show, regular time. But I'm going to get this out of the way and try to nail this in a relative short time because this is one of the shorter videos. It's under a half hour. So hopefully I'll be able to get this done in the next 45 minutes to an hour and then start the regular show like normal or abnormal, as it were. Now, but let's take a look. ProPublica got its hands on these Project 2025 training videos. And this is what I'm going to be looking at over the next couple of weeks. So we're going to cover all of the ones that are available, go through the whole thing, 30-minute video, maybe 4 hours. All right, calm down, chat room. This one in particular is more about what they're sort of planning and how they're going to carry stuff out than actually the lies they tell. That's the stuff that takes work. This, on the other hand, is actually, well, I'll show you, but this is their strategy for social media messaging. There is another video that's sort of attached to this one that I won't do today. I'll do it another time. And that video is about how to use social media to pass legislation, which is all propaganda. Like that one is bananas. But this one is just kind of the meat and potatoes, the mechanics of it all. So I thought I'd show you what they do, to just show you, maybe you're new to the idea that people do their, political entities, just like corporations, do these massive strategy sessions on how to convey messaging months, even years in advance. Okay. And this is what that is. So this is Project 2025's private training video, social media messaging. Here we go. Let me set this up so that it's lined up right there. And then off we go. Yeah, they say they're publishing them. And the guy...
My name is Ben Friedman.
Oh, yeah. So this guy, by the way, is magic. Let me tell you.
Hi. My name is Ben Friedman.
Hi, Ben.
During the Trump administration, I had the privilege of serving as the Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Digital Strategy.
Did you hear that title? Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Digital Strategy. Okay. Yeah, I know it sounds very gurgly. Yeah.
In the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Global Public Affairs.
That's a mouthful. They had this guy sequestered in an office down the hall.
First of all, congratulations on being part...
Thank you. Thanks very much. He apparently knows this is the greatest live stream that's ever happened. And even the early ones are huge, so giant audience, lots of lovely people. Please like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Hal Sparks, Megaworldwide. It's a great show. I mean, just come on. He knows. Listen to him. And he was sequestered in this office down the hall from the Oval Office for weeks at a time before anybody even knew he was there.
Part of this program. I consider my time working as a political appointee as one of the most challenging, formative, and impactful roles in my career.
Yes, you're right. This guy is magic, and he's overwhelming with the charm, and that's why they put him in charge of tweeting.
The actions that the American people entrust a newly elected president to deliver are not possible without the placement of thousands of competent, dedicated individuals as political appointees across dozens of agencies.
By the way, these would be, when a Democrat is in office, these people are referred to as unelected bureaucrats, right? Political appointees who have no votes from the American people. But when it's Donald Trump, he knows the best people. You must be one of them.
That is why I believe so strongly in the importance of initiatives like this one to ensure the principles and policies of a presidential platform can be effectively implemented starting on day one.
Boom. Now, this is the opening of these videos. And for the record, you're seeing the symbol of the President of the United States. I just want you to know that these folks consider themselves part of the transition team already, and they are. All of these people work in Trump's transition team, the ones who are doing these videos for Project 2025. So this whole, I don't know anything about it, blah, blah, blah. All right. Part of that may be true because he may not know that these are Project 2025 things. A lot of this shit he thinks are his ideas to start with, even though somebody whispered it in his ear. He's, think of him as the syphilitic Robert the Bruce with some sort of Rasputin whispering in his ear.
In the eyes of many in the world,
The conservative movement presents, again, the title is amazing. I guess if you consider yourself a conservative, try to get out. You can't. They own you.
Every 4-year ceremony we accept as normal is nothing less than a miracle.
In America, we understand that a nation is only living as long as it is striving.
Insert, Woody Allen dead shock joke.
Only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger.
This great nation will endure as it has endured. Will revive and...
Again, they show, I believe, Eisenhower speaking, and they play Eisenhower speaking and then show George W. Bush talking through a bullhorn at 9/11.
will prosper.
Or at Ground Zero.
Whether we go forward together with courage or turn back to policies that weakened our economy, diminished...
By the way, it's no mistake that they showed Joe Biden with a mask on signing a piece of legislation saying during the phrase they say, go back to weaken our assignment, right? That kind of stuff.
Our leadership in the world, America's future will be in your hands.
And this is, again, the final title of this is Project 2025 Presidential Transition Project. Yeah. They want to tee up Trump's presidency so that he can carry out what they want without any lag because they expect him to do a lot of golfing and probably pass away. I don't think they expect him to be assassinated. I think he's just going to, they believe he's going to keel over. Best practices in social media to advance policy. Now, why wouldn't social media advance policy? Why wouldn't it just be to communicate the policy itself? How would you advance policy through social media? Right? I suppose maybe you get people involved and in a tangential way they'll the public sees what you're saying and then they call their congressperson and pressure them. Maybe that's the idea. But I gotta say, it sounds a bit propaganda-ish and a lot manipulative. And that's because it is. Here we go.
My goal today is to offer you a unique...
By the way, a lot of these folks, because of where Trump put them, have enormous titles because of where they were. Strategically placed bullshit artists.
First-hand perspective on how to most effectively use social media to advance policy as an administration official.
And don't worry, it can help you grow your makeup video email list on YouTube and make you a big star. I'm not kidding. They basically just snipe how to do this from any business. Almost all the techniques he's going to talk about in this are kind of standard operating procedure dumbed down for what would effectively be the QAnons that Trump is going to put into positions of power.
While at the State Department, I led the largest internal reorganization at that agency in the last 2 decades.
That's because no one reorganizes the State Department, and what they did barely did, and he was constantly changing secondary personnel. That's like saying, during my time in the State Department, I oversaw the most chaotic period in the history of the State Department, where everyone was backbiting so much that we had to jettison a bunch of people for sexual harassment. Just so you know. I don't want you to think he came in with this like clean strategy and they turned it into a well-oiled machine and then went, wait a minute, you're not supposed to put oil in this? Right.
Combining the domestic and international digital media departments to create a global organization made up of over 120 full-time staffers and many more contractors operating across 5 continents.
Yeah, you heard that right. 5 continents of social media managers and people pushing stuff out. Now, this guy, think of this guy as Captain Bot Farm.
My final year leading this new organization, we achieved more digital and social media engagement and reach than the previous 13 years combined.
Yeah, but that's because that's true of every year since social media started. Like, it is a growing industry. So, but still, I don't want to step on the dude's toes. What he's about to say is, again, social media for dummies.
And grew multiple key social media
in deference to the kind of people Trump hires.
Accounts by several million followers. This was not by luck, chance, or a few viral posts.
No, we purchased large bot farms from overseas by leveraging the power of the presidency against our allies and our enemies alike.
It was the culmination of a multifaceted strategic overhaul of the approach and systems for content production, approval, and distribution. This conversation is going to cover 3 distinct chapters.
Excellent. 3 chapters. Get your notepads out, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready to take notes. This is going to cover, this is Project 2025's Project 2025 private training video, social media messaging to manipulate policy.
First, recommendations for operating effectively within a government agency.
Obviously, you want to be subversive and learn how to use all the buzzwords while undermining the function of democracy. Gotcha. A lot of wink and a nod. Move all your shit to Telegram and Signal and all the and don't have a Gmail account. I think.
Second, building your toolkit for managing social media output.
Yes, this is the part that he just basically stole from a book.
And third, principles to guide your content creation process.
Excellent. First, try and be as racist as you can. Don't hold back. There's no such thing as bad press, even when it results in some of our overseas foreign assets getting thrown out of buildings.
Let's get
A Burrito Bowl in the chat says, is this Scientology? I have news for you, Burrito Bowl, and everybody else in the chat room. This is the same strategy they use. This is the same strategy everybody uses. There's nothing new about what this guy's about to tell you. So if you feel bad that you're like, you hear some part of it and you're like, oh, I should probably, that's a good idea. It's because it's not original to him and it's exactly how everything runs. But I want you to know that they are strategizing. A couple things to watch out for is their timeline on what they do and their control of that message.
Get started.
This is part 1, recommendations for operating effectively within a government agency, which is something no Trump appointee ever wants to do. Why would I want to operate effectively within a government agency when my whole purpose is to torpedo said agency? Right. What they mean effectively is how to take it over, how to get your message through there, even if if the deep state's trying to stop you or some nonsense.
Welcome to the administration.
Thank you. It's nice to be president. I think I deserve it, and I'm proud to be here. I think Biden did a great job, Kamala, and then Gavin was terrific for a little while, and then we AI basically helped us live lives of absolute pleasure and and now we have most of our government is done digitally, so we just take turns being president, and it's nice to be here. I mean, even if it's just a ceremonial role that we all get to be once a year. Thank you very much. Yes, so welcome to the Sparks administration. You're fired. I'm kidding. I'm just messing around with you. Okay, go ahead.
Not in Kansas anymore. Whether you're coming from the Hill, a campaign, or the private sector, working within a
or Kansas, I guess.
government agency is a whole new ballgame. You will be presented with unfamiliar challenges, and there will be a learning curve.
Yes, many of you will be in positions where actually doing a good job is expected of you, and you can't just blatantly sexually harass the women around you. Sorry, this is not the Trump organization. This is a government position.
As you try to understand the culture and processes, not just of the U.S. government, but of your specific agency and organization. Since every agency is different, I will just touch on some best practices for how to empower your team, assuming that, similar to my experience, a significant portion of your social media and communications operation will be staffed by civil servants. In my case, it was 100%.
Right, because there are no military spokespeople in the State Department, or in most organizations, with the exception of the actual military.
If coming from a political role, you've had the privilege of working alongside a highly motivated team with deep political alignment and a sense of urgency.
Yes, well, that all ends today.
Your new team probably doesn't have the same politics as you, possibly even the opposite.
You're going to be surrounded by deep state operatives who don't want you to press send on that big own the libs hashtag trend you're going out for.
Social media management isn't a new adventure to them or a stepping stone to something else. They've been doing it as a full-time job for potentially many years.
Right, and you coming in there and telling them how to reinvent the wheel will just annoy them.
And may have strong feelings about what they perceive as the right way to do things in that building.
The same way you have strong feelings about the right way to do things in that building. But of course, you're right because Donald Trump picked you. He doesn't know your name, and he's not going to bother to remember it. And if he makes a mistake on social media, he's going to fire you and blame you for it. And you'll probably get death threats from his followers from then on, even though you were a total loyalist. But that's not important.
Some of which may clash with your own perspective. First,
in a democracy, how do we end that?
Find and empower your allies in the civil service.
Right. Start a little Slack group of other bigots and weirdos.
Do not let complicators and naysayers poison the well.
Yeah, like Bill Barr, or Jeff Sessions, or John Kelly, or Rex Tillerson, or Trump himself, I think.
People like to give government employees a bad rap. In some cases, that may be deserved, but I found that similar to most large organizations, there's a bell curve of individual quality.
Yes, with all the Trumpies at the top and everyone else ignorant at the bottom.
There are some people with low competence and motivation, a lot of average folks, and also some people with really exceptional motivation and ability. A key to your success will be to identify smart, motivated civil servants who are
I think he's talking about me.
Eager to support your work and limiting the influence and involvement of those who are going to hurt morale or be a drag on the quality or volume of output.
Yeah, don't be a drag, bro.
There are qualified individuals who understand that the role of civil service is to support the elected administration.
Or the public, through, a consistent functioning government, who, doesn't vacillate between whether or not they believe math administration to administration. All right.
And will be eager to execute the mission. I was fortunate to come across some of them. When I did, I elevated their position to maximize their impact and prevent others who might not have brought that same energy to the table from interfering with their efforts.
Right. And the way he did that was by making them recite the Wiggy Wagga QAnon oath. I'm kidding. He just means people who don't sleep.
Your time in the administration will go quickly. So make
Yes, Donald Trump, if he gets reelected, will probably be jailed before he even takes office. Your time in office will be very short because it's mostly imaginary.
Make sure to choose your battles and do not let personnel issues distract you from your core mission.
No. All right. Best practices for how to empower your team. Let's learn how. Team. All right, CSL, Andrea, listen up. I'm taking some notes. Here we go. Find and empower your allies in the civil service. Okay, so I need someone with a mining cap with a light on it. And all right. Identify smart, motivated civil servants who are eager to support your work. Limit the influence and involvement of those who are going to hurt morale or hinder the quality or volume of output. So I guess hang out in the bushes till they go in the house and then let the air out of their tires and then fill a bellows with the flu virus and then push it in through a hole in the window. If their tweets suck. This so far. Good. So far, so bad. Anytime now. We've read it already. We got it. Okay.
Second, convey your policy priorities internally. A constant refrain that I would hear from...
Convey your policy. Shouldn't the administration do that to you? Shouldn't you be conveying the policies of the administration? Shouldn't that go to everybody? You know what? Screw it. What do I know? You're the deputy assistant secretary for digital outreach that totally, sold all of our passwords to Russia. You know, do what you're going to do.
Leadership.
I'm sorry I dared to question you.
Is that agency staff refuse to push priority messaging. The assumption was that individuals at the agency did not agree with the policies and thus were obstructing them. This may have been true in some cases. What I personally found while managing a team of over 100 civil service communicators,
yeah, that's a lot,
was that often policy priorities were not well understood. When you are coming...
Oh. So like, let's say there was an official policy, like a bill that passed and was signed into law. And then there was a weird, illegal interpretation of it by the administration that they tried to implement. And then on top of that, there was a tweet from the president that said, nobody can come in the country from these shithole countries, Kofefe. And they had you're saying they had a hard time figuring out WTF. I think you had a WTF problem. I see.
From a campaign, committee, or Hill office. It's fair to assume that your colleagues know the policy priorities inside out and are experienced in articulating them.
I got to say, I mean, maybe that applies to Boebert if she's taking you out for dinner and a movie, but I don't know that anybody else has got any consistency that isn't. Never mind.
Them, in part because their own personal beliefs match these policies. Don't assume that your staff has articulated these policies before. If you wish to deploy the manpower at your disposal,
especially if no one has, no one would, and no one ever ended up doing it.
Need to not only train them on the policies, the what, the how, and the why, but also keep them up to date on how policies are changing and adapting through the use of externally shareable talking points, quotes, and other approved messaging material.
Yes, it also, thank God we're stepping outside the realm of bureaucrat speak into the realm of just talking naturally. Yeah, what he means is setting up Slack and other things so that everybody's on message about the brand and everybody has how they're going to articulate out the points about each policy. These are our talking points. These are the quotes and only the quotes that come about this that you're going to put in social media, Facebook posts, Twitter posts, shit like that. And then after that, is these the acceptable images? Make sure they're all in one place and nobody goes outside that. And if you're confused about it and you're making people actually write messages, they want like a reference thing so that nobody interprets it and then goes, oh, I'm sorry, I'm a good person, and I read that thinking one thing, and you actually mean the opposite, and no good person would ever say something like that. I'm very confused about what I'm supposed to type right now.
Every policy vertical that is a priority for your office should have documents that are accessible to the entire team and updated regularly with messaging that is approved for external use. This will not only allow you to move faster, but also assure clarity for all those tasked to support your efforts.
So yeah, this stuff is corporate speak. This is, I mean, this guy might as well be telling you how to work for Garmin or Kroger or Kroger's or Walmart or something. This is of all these ProPublica videos, this is probably the one closest to showing you how to operate the fryer at McDonald's. The video they give you a link and you go home and watch it, and then you come back and they physically show you how to do it, but you should know it by the time you show up for work on Monday. That's what this is. None of these are bad points. They're fairly common, but it's just, well, you'll see. They're setting up all this kind of like, this is how you do normal stuff, and you should be very professional about it and get all these, and don't fight with people. Just get it out there, because your whole purpose is to make sure that women don't have positions of power. Like, yeah.
Third, get continual feedback. I recommend the SWOT method.
If you don't like what someone's saying about you in the office, call the police and tell them that you're inside their home and you have a gun and you're losing your mind, and that they should rush to that address and they dare anyone to try and stop them. Oh, that's not what that different kind of SWAT method? I would just say, when it comes to like social media and stuff, I would just not use SWAT or swatting as a communication. What do I know?
Upon joining state, I walked into a department where morale was low. Teams were not equipped to succeed.
Yes, Trump had just won. I can't imagine why everybody was morose. We're being run by an idiot. Hurrah!
Succeed on many levels. And as a result, they were making mistakes and producing low quality work. To have a well-oiled machine, you need to know what the problems are and why they are there before you can fix them.
I disagree. I mean, can't you just I would just shove your hands in there and start monkeying around with whatever's in there, and it'll fix itself.
Or at least decide if they should be addressed. Everyone will find their own best approach, but a sincere effort to build lines of communication from leadership to staff and staff up to leadership will pay dividends.
Again, corporate speak. I like this. This is one of the guys that Trump would say he came very highly recommended before he was fired because Trump misspelled a word and he had to blame somebody.
3 tools that I found to be very beneficial were one-on-ones, which I held weekly with each of my 4 office directors.
So 1 on 20s or 1 on 35s, because they represent 35 people in the different chains. You had one-on-ones with the overallers. That's not so much a one-on-one. That's like a team leader meeting, individual team leader meetings. Okay.
And my senior advisor, SWOT analysis, which stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Oh, SWOT. Sorry. When most of us think SWAT, we're waiting for an A in there, but you mean SWOT. Oh, did Gorka come up with this one? Gorka. Oh, SWOT.
And an end-of-week email to staff highlighting key priorities, accomplishments, and some positive shout-outs.
Yeah. Hey, team, great work this week on making sure that women with septicemia will have to drive over 300 miles to even see a doctor that's not afraid. Especially you, Carol. Holy shit.
I used the SWOT analysis.
Have a great weekend. Try not to drink enough.
For my monthly meetings with each of the digital offices. A template was distributed to each office for every individual to complete from their point of view. I reviewed them, and then we held an office-wide meeting where every staffer presented their responses, and we discussed them as a team.
Again, corporate speak bullshit, but it sounds, this is one of the videos where they're like, wow, I'm part of something real. This is like a real job. Right.
As feedback was addressed, the number of items in the weaknesses and threats buckets went down.
Because they actually went down, or you just got tired of bringing them up? I'm just saying. Sometimes in a really shitty work environment, the weaknesses and threats part, you just go, ah, fuck, it's not going to make any difference. He's always like that.
This might
One of the biggest weaknesses is our president. One of our biggest threats is our president. Well, that's not going to go. That's not going to go away anytime soon. Stop including him. Why are there? Who keeps putting Trump's stupid fucking mouth in the suggestion box? It's not funny. And don't think I haven't noticed that it's not in the same handwriting and it's a lot of different people. You know, I'm still going to tell them it's one person printing it on a printer from home because there's no way every this one's from me. All right.
might have been an intense approach, but it worked well for a large organization going through significant changes. Overall,
Also, no, it doesn't. It sounds like normal corporate gobbledygook. Yeah, 101.
these efforts helped identify problems that prevented the team from maximizing their potential, communicate priorities from leadership, and build trust among what started out as a highly skeptical group of personnel.
Yes, as soon as they found significant ways to avoid this asshole and the notes in his regular meetings, once they figured out what his schedule was, they could just avoid him the rest of the time. I've already forgotten what SWAT means. Yeah, it's strengths, weaknesses, what was it? Old folks, overtime? No. Ovaltine and threats. I'm just saying, in your review of the notes from what you just said, this part right here, which is supposed to keep us up with the notes, wouldn't you use the SWOT analysis? Like, because it says collaborate on the team's strengths and weaknesses, but it doesn't say which strengths and weaknesses and threats, but it doesn't say what all of them are. Does that make? And that's it. When you go to the SWOT analysis and go SWOT and you'd show what each one means, and then you'd go even an expectation of why am I helping this asshole? Sorry. That's my problem. I'm just too much of a goddamn Boy Scout. And scene. There you go.
4. Get support and buy-in from your leadership. The government is a very hierarchical organization.
Really? Is there like one person who's sort of the primary, and then they have a vice, somebody underneath them, and then there's are there cabinet heads? Like, how is it? Because I thought it was just like a free-for-all. So it's not run like Jan 6 is what you're saying. Because I thought that's how it's the people's house, and every 4 years they stampede in there carrying whatever flag they want, take a shit, beat somebody up, threaten to hang somebody, and then magically we have a government again in a couple weeks. That's not how it works? Oh. So there's some sort of organizational structure.
Personnel at the very bottom have little ability to approve or change anything.
I should hope so. That's why they're at the bottom, I think, right? They would be at the implementation level, not the decision level, because they would, I don't know, I'm nuts. All right.
The further up you go in the ranks, the more power someone has.
All right, maybe. I don't know. Seems weird.
To just simply say, yes, let's do it.
Right. I think there's only like 4 people.
The most effective tool against bureaucratic pushback is to have the support of political appointees higher up in the ladder. At the state.
Yeah. So you can tattle. It's very important to have the leverage of knowing the person that can fire the person that's a pain in your ass. So you can go, I'm going to tell Steven, and then storm out of their office. It's a great tool. Don't be afraid to use the old I'm going to tell Steven ripcord. Just anytime there's a problem. Think of Steve as your own personal fire extinguisher. In case of emergency, break Steven.
State Department, I found that civil servants were very adamant, often infuriatingly so, on operating within the hierarchy.
Didn't you just say that's how it's supposed to work? Aren't you? Yeah. So you can't just make shit up as an implementer, and then if they go, what? Are you sure this is what Steven wants? And you're like, yeah, Steve told me. Okay? That's what we're doing. I don't think so. I mean, in the Slack, it says we're doing something else. Look, who's here? Huh? Mr. Slack? Have you ever met him? Huh? Is Slack somebody who walks in here, hey, Slack, what's going on? No, there's me, and then there's Steven, okay? And Steven's not here right now. So I am Steven's medulla oblongata right now.
They believed they knew exactly what you could do or could not do,
And they were right most of the time.
or have them do based on your rank. The more that it is known that you work on behalf of and are trusted and empowered by those in positions above you, with the absolute ace card being a mandate from the White House, the easier it will be to get things done. When things get...
Except when it isn't true. Just saying. If you don't have that, that's when they'll tend to go, no, I'm from the Office of Inspector General. I'm here to make sure you assholes don't break the law. So you can't actually go tattle on me. It doesn't work like that. That Congress can come kick my ass. You go talk to them.
difficult, having leadership being willing to step in, often just in the form of replying to an email to have your back, will remove a ton of friction that can otherwise stand in your way.
Right. When the staff is like, this can't be right. And then the person above you is such a lunatic that they'll write an email going, yep, that's what we're doing. And everybody's like, all right, okay. Captain, set course for iceberg. Get support and buy-in from leadership. Shouldn't you have that to start with? Shouldn't you just have directive from leadership? Shouldn't it be clear what leadership is saying? All right. Obviously, by the way, this is a problem most White Houses don't have. I'm dead serious. And that the Trump organization and the Trump campaign and then the Trump White House ultimately had, because so many things they did were either illegal or completely useless, that people who knew how things worked or knew what was legal were constantly going, you can't do that. You'll kill a bunch of people, stupid. And they go, yes, I can. Yes, I can. And they go, no, you can't. Go ask him. All right, I'll ask him. All right, now go ask the Inspector General and clear it with legal. Why? I just asked him and he said yes. Yeah, but he answers to them too. You both answer to them. No, I don't. Yes, you do. That's why this happened. That's what we just saw. Those last 4 sentences is this bunch of shit. Yeah? Is him going, how to avoid people calling you out on your bullshit. Yeah. Building your toolkit for managing social media output. Now, this is the kind of run-of-the-mill stuff. This is actually, like I said, mechanically useful. So you might want to actually take notes on this. He basically got this from a Learning Annex course, I think. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to walk through the toolkit that I recommend for producing social media as an administration official. If you're currently part of a well-run social media operation, very few of these
I like to think I am, but only because I helmed the greatest live stream in the history of the world. Like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell if you feel like it. You don't have to, because I don't care, because it's so great. Why would you want to miss it in the first place? And also Super Chats, and also patreon.com/HalSparks. That's why. But as far as the other stuff, I don't even know how that works.
recommendations will be a surprise. But I believe that you will find them to be of even greater value while working as an appointee.
Yeah.
1. Your approval process. Document your team's approval process in detail.
Yes. Micromanagement. It's the key to annoying all of your creatives.
Keep it as lean as possible.
Right? Yes. Lean and direct, because, as we all know, the simpler rules are the most enforceable.
So as to not slow down or complicate getting content out the door.
Yeah. Don't worry about spelling or bigoted or racist phrases that might be interpreted correctly as bigoted or racist. If somebody calls you out later, you'll pretend that they're the one interpreting it that way and you never meant it that way. You can always clean up with more bullshit. That's the great thing. Who needs a mop when you have a wheelbarrow full of turds at your disposal?
Everyone in the organization should have a copy and confirm their understanding. It should all
Great. Yes. Do they do it in a ceremony where everybody puts up their hand in sort of a slight incline pointed at the ceiling, Laura Ingraham style, and then they all, Repeat the nonconformist oath.
Also be formally approved in writing by your leadership. When you get the inevitable,
Wouldn't you do that first? Never mind.
who approved this email from someone very high up, you will thank me.
Yeah. He did. I'm out. That's when Trump yells at your office, you can go, fuck him. I wasn't even here. I never even saw these assholes before. Is your way out. Hype train. All right. And by the way, I do deserve a hype train for this, Twitch folks. Building your toolkit for managing other guys. This is basically the bureaucracy part of it. Then they set up their stuff. Like what it looks like. This is the branding process stuff.
2. Style guide.
Style guide, baby. Let's do this. Everybody wears the same lipstick, and everybody gets the same lip plumper. I don't care if you're Eric Bowling or Kimberly Guilfoyle. Just marzipan right in the upper lip until you start to look like Daffy Duck, and then fill in the bottom one so it looks like two manhole covers slamming together. And then after that, just fill your cheeks until you can't see your ears anymore. That's how you do it. That's a style guide.
The White House will create and make available a White House style guide.
Can you imagine? Please, God, someone give me the Trump White House style guide. I need to see this. Because it's got Cheeto dust all over it, and fingerprints and coffee stains and in all caps on one page. Never correct spelling, right?
Creating a separate style guide for your agency, as we did at State, will be incredibly valuable. If you're not
it'll sell on eBay after all this is over for $12.
familiar with style guides, they contain everything from the fonts to the color palettes, logos, and icons that are most commonly used by your organization and guidelines for how to use them.
This is the U.S. government, dum-dum. I'm just saying, it's like all that shit's kind of worked out. Nobody's going to total revamp. I'm tired of the red, white, and blue. We're going with cyan, fuchsia, and lavender. What? Yeah, all of it. And Veterans Day, get rid of the blue and the green. We're going fiery red explosions. You think rockets, red glare, baby? Yeah, it's the White House one. You're not going to pick the White House. Is just what I'm saying.
This is one of the most valuable tools for making sure your content is
rose
visually
gold. Yeah, rose gold is everything's. That's what we're going to do, darling. Rose gold for everything.
consistent. Anyone who is new to the team or supporting your team will also be better equipped to produce on-brand materials.
By the way, this is again really common in all marketing stuff. The weird part is that they have this secondary America First version in the White House.
3, template your creatives.
Yeah, don't let them think, okay? The key to creativity is narrow confines and limited words.
One of my initiatives at the State Department was a full branding overhaul for everything digital.
That's a lot. A full branding overhaul? So you're just not using the American flag then? You said full branding overhaul. And crazy me, I think words matter. So to me, a full branding overhaul is, we're not going with English. That's for one. Let's start from scratch. We are not using English, okay? We are not at all. Not just simple language, just none. And no American flags. Gonzo.
The rebrand
I'm just saying, no, he didn't.
impacted
He's going to papyrus as the fucking typeface.
all platforms and content we touched. You can even see the day that it was implemented if you scroll to the right place in the State Department Twitter feed. The grid goes from looking like every single post was produced by a different person working for a different organization, a total lack of consistency or cohesion, to an incredibly aligned and purposeful visual aesthetic.
Yes, we like the entire thing to sort of nice, tight, thin rows of people with all the same shoulders and whatnot, and everyone with the symbol attached properly in the place and on the hat, and everyone is walking in lines, these things, We don't have this State Department idea that there's other countries and cultures and we integrate with them. No, we are us and you are you.
That not only looks good, but was designed to be more effective at communicating messages on social media.
Yes, and not just the message itself, but the message on top of the message, which is there will be no variance, resistance is futile. It's basically the underneath the the little parts of this.
I selected a tiger team of internal designers as well as an external specialist we hired from the campaign world.
Really, you brought someone onto the social media team that worked in the in the campaign world. Weird. You couldn't tell from all the F-ups that happened in the Trump administration when it came to international meetings in our relationships with our allies and stuff that was tweeted and posted that caused rifts between our longtime allies and brought us closer to Armageddon and a couple of places. Never mind.
To build several dozen social media graphic templates that aligned with our style guide and fit almost every possible messaging use case we had.
Because if it does not fit in this, we are not saying anything.
We also created a set of social media video templates, all square, with captions, and with a thumbnail for the first frame.
Fabulous. That's great. That is the key to being a powerful Facebooker.
All very important social media content best practices.
Unless, of course, the site that you're trying to do stuff on takes landscape videos or the vertical frame ones, unless they aren't square on that site, in which case, I guess, free for all.
That were not currently being deployed at the department. With this robust guide, the social media team was able to task graphic design personnel by telling them which template to use and then providing them new copy and images to apply. This revolutionized speed and consistency of our social media output.
Also, he's just talking about volume, because if you don't care about how a message is received, it is a lot easier to just shit that message out. And that's one of the keys to this, is that if you're a brand like a soda or something like that, you have your limited stuff, and the feedback you get is done in sort of focus groups ideas. And if you use it, sometimes you avoid it entirely because you're trying to buck the trend, and sometimes you actually absorb it, and go, our big fans aren't liking this, so we'll just shift the messaging on this. What he's essentially saying is we set up these like streams of thought, and we crowbarred everything into that regardless of how it might be received, which is fascinating from a State Department point of view.
Your goal is to maximize the output and impact of your social media.
Yeah, impact, yes. Output, not so much.
Not reinvent the wheel with every post.
Okay. Uniformity is not, is not monotony. Just saying. And he seems to be kind of commingling the two. But this is it's fabulous. Having a style guide is a great idea, guys, if you have a brand. And if you have a brand that, if you fuck up your messaging, won't start a small war in Yemen. see where it might be a little different than, say, I got a band show coming up and in Seattle next week, and in Portland, by the way. And I put up ads about that. And if I got to say, if my band ads could be misread because they were off template, and that caused the Middle East to flare up and tens of thousands of people to open fire on each other, I think I would worry less about the kind of material consistency and more about what I'm actually communicating. It's just me, because it's the State Department. But and it's not like the U.S. government has the same symbols and seals and stuff that we put on everything to make it official. Just make one up. I'm sure this guy printed his own coins too.
4, a content calendar. You can easily create a content calendar.
It's true. It's super easy. Keeping up with it is the thing. I don't know how people do it.
even in Google Sheets. But that does not mean it is not an essential resource. You need to
Just because it's easy doesn't mean it's worthwhile. Right, Mrs. What's My Name?
plan ahead, ideally as far as possible. I would make sure that your content calendar is actually populated a year out with any well-established events, anniversaries, or holidays.
Oh, by the way, I would like to point out that this is something that I said to like my PR people in the past a long time ago. And when social media started popping up, because I manage my own social media, it didn't make a lot of sense. But I was always shocked that a lot of especially Republicans seemed to be like Trump was always behind on major American holidays and what he was going to say. And it always seems like they were like, oh, fuck, it's Veterans Day. Make something up. They were always late to that, right? And I was like, what? When you get in, wouldn't you just go, all right, we're going to do something for Veterans Day, Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July, Christmas, Thanksgiving. We're going to wish, Ramadan and Yom Kippur, wishes on that. We're going to, if we've got a couple of states that we consider swing states and it's the fucking Strawberry Festival or Cheese Festival or whatever once a year in Wisconsin and other places, we're going to put that in the calendar and we're going to schedule these out and you'll pre-tape some of these things. You just go, hey, congratulations, Wisconsin, happy Cheese Day. I'm eating a sandwich of cheese only. There's no bread. It's just cheese. How is it a sandwich? Because I'm holding it in my hands. And then you take a bite and then cut. And it's hilarious. And then you post that when the time comes. I was always amazed that as much as this guy's talking about it, it's almost like he's looking back and going, they never managed to do that. Where we'll be appearing in Seattle. I'm at the Crocodile next Thursday with Nerd Halen.
If you're going to do a Christmas post, that should already be on your content calendar on January 1st. That way, at the beginning of each month, you can pre-task all of the creative effort that will be necessary to create routine posts for the coming weeks.
Mm-hmm. Right. This is all standard. Which, by the way, this is all standard for any company. It's standard for a lot of celebrities. It's standard for any brand that's trying to make an impact or whatever. And the idea that they have to talk about it like this, the Heritage Foundation has to put together a video to tell incoming Trump appointees how to do this basic shit is stunning.
Content calendar will also help with the planning for policy-driven messaging and campaigns, and help you visualize the balance and the volume of which topics you will cover and what types of media you will use. As you may know, if you've worked in social media or content before, it's very hard to do high production value work last minute.
Yeah, but you work for the Trump organization. Like, all he wants to do is stand in a friggin', in the Rose Garden going, you're very special. January 6th was awesome. You'll always remember it, unless you're one of the two dead women. So go home. I love you. And those of you that are going to jail, I'm not going to pardon you. I'll say I will in a couple of years if I lose, which I did, but I'm not going to even lose a second time, which I'm going to. But if I do get in, I may or may not. It's not important. Cut.
If you actually want to do justice to a particular policy campaign,
why would you want to do that?
You might need several weeks to produce the videos, graphics, landing pages, etc., and get them approved. I absolutely hate fire drills, and a social media team that is constantly working last minute is constantly putting out low quality content and constantly missing opportunities.
By the way, State Department reacts to a lot of things as they're happening. So having a guy who specifically hates reacting to things that are occurring in the moment in charge of your social media, I have to just take a moment with you, if we can, and enjoy the tedious nature of working with the social media director in the State Department for the Trump organization. Anytime something happened that was breaking news or internationally something happened that was outside your control, but you had to respond to. And this guy was literally just riding the fucking parking brake on everybody.
Once you get into a last-minute posture, it becomes very hard to catch up. On the subject of planning, be wary of scheduling posts. At State, we actually had a no scheduled post policy.
Right, because what if something awful happens on that day? Why did you have that policy? Because we scheduled a bunch of posts and then something awful happened that day and we caught shit for going, congratulations, International Ice Cream Day, just as one of our allies has just been stabbed.
You should do what's best for your team, but in a fast-moving news cycle, you do not want to accidentally put out content that is outdated or tone-deaf based on events that have taken place since the scheduling was set.
Not again, anyways. This is getting very dense. Beware of scheduling posts. This is the big one at the bottom. Avoid these fire drills. I don't know why he calls it a fire drill. Like surprises where everybody's running. A fire drill is where you prove that you know where you're going if something happens that's an emergency. A fire drill actually is a better analogy for how you would want to run your social media stuff, because you're like, we've got our system down so much that even when something new comes up, everybody goes to where they're supposed to, and we do what we have already agreed we will do, right? That's what a fire drill is for. Wow.
Number 5, collaboration tools.
Yes, as long as the people will take the QAnon oath, you don't have to worry about what they're going to say.
When I got to the State Department, all of the communication into and within the social team took place through an Outlook email listserv that forwarded to the email addresses of everyone on the team.
What a mess. I don't want to hear from Dave.
It was a terrifying fire hose of emails, but that was the way they'd been operating for over a decade. When you came...
Because a lot of the Slack services and stuff just came into existence while Trump was president, like literally in 2017.
On duty, you would sort through a massive inbox of emails to figure out what requests had been made of the office, what communication had taken place across the office, and what approvals had been required.
Cool story, bro. Why don't you tell us how they did it in the 1960s? You used to have to write a letter and put it in an envelope, and then there were cubby holes, and they had this series of tubes. Like, Jesus Christ.
Requested or received by the office to external teams. It was a horrible system.
Horrible.
We got everybody onto Slack for communicating across the social team and
it was unsecured, so that was a problem.
with the creative teams, Google Drive for shared documents, including our internal wiki, and Trello for tracking the social media content creation and approval process. While there were complaints when these platforms were first introduced, I tell you with all sincerity that if I would have removed them when I left at the end of the administration, the team would have burnt down the building in protest. That's how important these tools became.
I don't think literally they would have done that. I think they would have gone, is there something better than Slack? And they'd go, yeah, there's actually a couple things. Whatever. We could probably do all of this in Trello, now that I think about it.
If there are other systems that you prefer, like Airtable or Asana or something new, feel free to deploy the stack that makes
But don't be surprised if they burn the White House down.
the most sense for you. But again, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. And there are a handful of tools that are already used by pretty much every social media team in politics and the private sector.
None of them are secure, and nobody gives a shit. So this is, how much left to this? It's not much left, yeah. The rest of this, by the way, is, again, it's
Number
managerial.
6, pre- and post-publication checklist. This is especially beneficial if you have a team pulling the trigger on each post, but also helpful as a way to slow down and hold yourself accountable if you're the one with that privilege. At some point, the national media decided that any sort of error in a social media post is worthy of its own breaking news story.
No, they didn't decide that. Covfefe is not a single misspelling, and misusing an entire word for something that it absolutely does not represent, it is not a minor mistake, and especially if it's coming from the State Department.
So you need to protect yourself and your team from mistakes. This was our protocol. Check the handles, check the links, proofread for spelling and grammar 3 times, and then publish.
Brilliant. I've learned so much. 3 times. You read each tweet 3 times for spelling.
Then click.
Then argue about how the word stolen is spelled. And then a fight breaks out, and then publish it anyways.
The handles on the live posts, click the links on the live post, and reread the spelling and grammar 3 more times.
Yeah, that's this is, by the way, again, social media messaging to advance policy from Project 2025. It's about 6 minutes left in it, something like that. He literally put like reread for spelling and grammar 3 times in there. Whew. Yeah, and by the way, they supposedly did this. Imagine all the shit that came out of the White House that was garbled and didn't make any sense, and that was written directly by Trump and all this stuff. And know that a lot of it wasn't actually written by him. It was conveyed by somebody else. Dan Scavino, I think, did most of the actual typing on a lot of those things. Misspelled stuff on purpose. Imagine if they hadn't checked stuff 3 times.
Number 7, reporting. If your goal is to improve every week, then you and your team need to know what success looks like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Select the metrics that resonate the most with you and your team.
Yes, like how many people with tiki torches showed up outside the removal of a Robert E. Lee statue. If the number goes up, you're doing your job.
Whether that might be reach, engagements, output, or others, and set goals.
Mm-hmm.
Design a simple report that the team can pull every week to compare the metrics to your goals, as well as the performance over previous weeks.
It's great. I'm so glad Project 2025 thinks they have to spend time telling this to Trump appointees who will be put in to run social media. That they know that the people Trump is going to put in place are so incompetent at even the specific job that they were picked to do because they've done it before, that they have to be talked through it with the people, like by the Heritage Foundation.
My preference has always been to have a weekly meeting to review this report so that everyone is well informed and can share ideas for improvements.
Which sounds like a bunch of communist gobbledygook. Sharing. Yeah. I wish you could tape his hands to the chair. Principles to guide your content creation process. This is the part I need. Because I got to tell you, while I put on a great live stream, it's hard for me to pull clips and stuff. By the way, you can pull clips on Twitch and post them. And you can also, I think you can clip things from my live streams and share bits out if I say something particularly fascinating and fun. That said, part 3, principles to guide your content creation process. In step 1, inspiration.
Now, part 3. This will be the last part of the conversation.
Thank God.
And we're going to talk about message.
Also, just for the record, as a communicator, this has not been a conversation. This is a rhetorical video. None of the people that you mean to see this are actually talking to the screen the way I am. And you're not actually hearing me, so I'm an insane person. Never mind.
Best practices. Social media platforms and best practices for them are constantly evolving and changing.
Yeah.
So
I hate fire drills, so never change. Just keep posting whatever you posted on MySpace years ago, and then have a weekly team meeting about it, and then we can all agree on a checklist. I thought this guy...
I'm going to share some high-level concepts that I think ring true despite the platform or the content.
Great. Hit me with your best shot.
The first is to message for the medium.
Yes. Wait, but if it's a medium, shouldn't they know the future, and therefore they already know what I'm going to say? Oh, no, sorry. Yeah.
What works well on X, formerly Twitter, is going to be different in many ways from what works well on YouTube or Instagram.
Yes, especially YouTube being the video platform. I I tend not to tweet on YouTube, and I tend not to post square still pictures on YouTube as well. I also don't I do live stream on all three. So
The same can be said in comparing any two mediums. Pay attention to how users, including yourself, engage with each of these platforms, and make sure to differentiate.
I think it's mostly this, right? It's either this or this. This or this or this. Is that what you mean?
Your formatting and style to maximize impact. Think about what image and video aspect ratios will best fit the screen.
Why? Those sizes are already available. Why wouldn't that be in your style guide? Why do I have to fix these things?
If users are watching with the sound off, are there captions to convey the message visually?
That was the whole last part of it. Please tell me it's over. 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 It's over. Please, it's over. Nope.
Competitive advantage.
Shit. This is what we care about. Art of the deal, baby. Just being Trump. Front of the pack.
Online media is a battlefield. There are millions
It's not, though.
of individuals and organizations competing for your audience's attention.
So it's a competition, not so much a battlefield. It's more like a sports field, except it's not. Because you'd be in any different shit. Never mind.
You're going toe-to-toe with the biggest athletes, musicians, and celebrities in the world.
And I'm all three. I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Yeah, some of us don't have to work at all.
Not to mention the well-staffed social media operations of newsrooms and major brands.
Unlike yours. Gotcha.
You might have only been thinking about your political rivals.
Yeah, absolutely. Wait, no.
A key to standing out and building your audience
is just to be as loud and obnoxious and shitty as possible, because no matter what happens, because you're in the government, you will get news coverage.
to understand your competitive advantages in the attention game. What information or access?
Yes, it is important to be exciting in everything that you do. And I find that oftentimes work for the medium. For example, if you're on a video medium where you're directly talking to the viewer, it's often important to talk oddly off to the side, as if there's someone there, even when there isn't. Because some people are uncomfortable with looking someone in the eye, even when that person isn't there and could have fled the country months ago. But so looking to the side gives them a break emotionally.
Do you have that differentiates your account from everyone else?
I've got Hal Sparks. I mean, that's all I got. I've got Hal Sparksing the way Hal Sparks does on Hal Sparks Megaworldwide and other places. But he's busy being Hal Sparks, and that's what Hal Sparks does. And so as long as he's Hal Sparksing, we're good.
No one has better access to your leadership than you do.
I agree. It's true. It's right there. All I got to do is reach down and touch it.
No one has better access behind the scenes within your agency.
This is true. I mean, if it wasn't, I would have to shower a lot more often.
And no one should be able to know the breaking news around your policies and actions before your team.
Well, yeah, it doesn't always work that way, right? That's the point. If a story leaks or breaks or changes, especially if you're in the State Department, like if there's of course there will be stuff that you don't know. You know your policy, but you don't know how you're going to react to it because you don't know what you're reacting to until it happens, Mr. I hate fire drills.
Leverage these areas and others in order to make your accounts indispensable for those who want to be in the know.
Spelled N-O. I thought this was the end. Wasn't this supposed to be the end of the conversation? This is probably step 3.
Next, test and iterate.
Fabulous. I love how he creates, these phrases that just flow,
Don't get complacent with your content. Think strategically about what large or small differences could have a big impact on how audiences engage with your accounts. Implement these different approaches and pay attention. Track their performance and aim to continually move your work in the direction that brings you the most reach and engagement.
Wow, that was just filler. You know when you order a fruit salad and you're like, this is just melon. Yeah, I know. I feel the same way. That's what we just saw. Like, this is supposed to have blueberries and raspberries and strawberries and pineapple even. And just a bunch of honeydew. What the hell is going on? The potato is bigger than the steak. What the hell is happening with this restaurant?
Next, keep your eyes on the horizon.
Great idea. Thank you. Thank you. Finally, he gets to the heart of the matter. Keep your eyes on the horizon. You know, the thing that never actually reaches you, that you have no impact on, that will keep being there whether you live or die. You know, the horizon.
An effective digital communicator is a curious one. No doubt,
You are a strange little fellow, I will say that.
you're already always on your phone. Pay attention to which accounts, whether they're in your sphere or an entirely different one, are building audiences and shaping narratives.
Absolutely. Pornhub, Grindr, eBay. What do you mean?
How can you learn from these accounts and bring those best practices back to the platforms that you manage?
Right. What can you learn from Ashley Madison as a member of the State Department?
I like to keep a short list of accounts that I think are operating at the highest level and continually assessing what tactics that work for them could apply to the accounts in my own portfolio.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, the biggest websites on the planet are porn. So what you're telling us is, to help with your job in the State Department, you watched a lot of porn. Like a lot. Like a Utah viewership level of porn. You just 24/6, because you need a day off because you're just dehydrated and blind. You just watched porn all the time because there's so much to learn. Brought to you by Pornhub. Good Lord.
Make it brag-worthy.
Okay, this is the truly Trump part of this whole thing.
When I started at the State Department, I told all of the career staff teams that I wanted them to make content that they will obnoxiously show off to their friends and family after work.
You know, like they do with revenge porn. You know, think of your work as, I don't know, nudes that Matt Gaetz has on his phone. Walk around like a dickhead showing everybody your latest post. It's a great way to make friends and lose phone calls.
Most people laughed because the idea that the content that they produced would be something they would actually want to share personally never crossed their mind.
Because it represented the government and it was meant to, you know, aimed at a very broad audience instead of kind of charming their dipshit friends. I can't imagine why that would be.
I think this is a good test of whether your team is operating at the highest level.
Well, that's ridiculous.
You want to make content that stands out and that you're proud of showing off.
Stands out from what? Like, you'd look at this, you wouldn't even think the State Department would put out drivel like this.
Even to audiences who aren't interested in or agree with the policy.
Would you show, like, ass cracks and go, hey, check this out. I made you look at the policy. That's good Lord. If your team are not proud of the content being produced, you may not be operating at your fullest potential. Jesus Christ. This is just managerial speak. This is Office Space level.
Lastly, and perhaps most importantly,
because it's lastly. Most importantly, because this is the end.
do no harm.
That's adorable. Ladies and gentlemen, the idea that the Trump social media director working within the State Department believes that you should do no harm is hilarious.
The truth is that any one social media post is not likely to individually make a significant or even measurable advancement of your policy objectives.
Right. That's why they don't stand out. That's why they're not shocking, because it's the State Department, not a new energy drink, you dipshit.
It could happen, but generally it's going to be the accumulation of a critical mass, not only on social media, but through press conferences, speeches, surrogates, and real-world action.
That last one, that whole, like, I'm just saying, like, legislation or active policy or a change that occurs internationally through the State Department reacting with someone else. I'm just saying that might be a bigger part of it than you think.
But one bad social media post can easily drive the news cycle with at best a distraction and at worst potentially even a poison pill. I know it's not fair.
A poison pill? You mean like you could derail the entire situation? Poison pill.
On a similar note, there is a tendency for young staffers to think that being good at social media means having a lot of followers personally and shooting out viral posts.
Which it does when you're not working for the State Department.
If you're joining the administration to increase your follower count, you're the wrong person for the job.
Yeah, but that's the kind of person who would brag about their shit to their friends when they're working in the State Department. Can you believe they let me put this? I work in the fucking State Department, bro. A fucking, yes. No. I don't know. I'm at a party. Don Jr.'s looking for weed. I was carrying. Next thing you know, I'm in the fucking State Department. Tits, dude. That's the first State Department post with tits. Dude. Yeah, that's your client base, dummy.
You are delivering the message, but you're often not the messenger.
No, you are the messenger. You are the messenger. You're not the message. You're the messenger. You're the person in charge of. You're the guy on the horse with the fucking scroll rolled up in it, handing it over. You didn't make it up. It's not up to you. If anything, you're the scrivener. You're the person who wrote it down before it was rolled up and handed to the guy. I don't know. The fucking analogy dies here because it's all the same person. But
the president is a messenger.
No, the president is the doer. The message comes from his cabinet about what he wants to say about what he's doing, and then you actually present the message. You convey. They write up the. Never mind.
Cabinet secretaries are
This is so dumb.
messengers. The spokesperson is a messenger. It's very possible for an off message or offensive post from a junior staffer with even a small following to capture far more media attention than the accounts and content that your team is working so hard to amplify every day.
Wait a minute. Did he just refer to Donald Trump as a junior staffer? Oh, it's like there should be a little thing. Also, the president will sometimes fuck this up by writing something ridiculous at 2 o'clock in the morning that will totally throw a monkey wrench in everything you've been working on for months.
Thank you.
Like, you might as well send your style guide over to Donald Trump so he can urinate on it right on the desk in the Oval Office.
So much for taking the time today to have.
And well, we did take the time. Let me tell you, it doesn't always feel like I'm taking time. This time feels taken, I gotta say.
This conversation about operating effectively within a government agency, learning about a toolkit that you can use for
Fabulous.
your social media team,
I learned
as
so
well
much.
as discussing some best practice principles for effectively advancing policies on social media.
On social media.
I want to give a special thanks to Project 2025.
Well, then go ahead and do it. Why would you want? If you want to do it, just do it. You don't have to do it. You don't have to say you're going to do it. You don't say you want to do it. If you want to do it, do it. What's stopping you?
To come and share some of the lessons learned from my time in the administration.
Yeah, I grew as a person.
And I want to wish you all the best of luck.
Well, then go ahead and do it. Why? If you want to wish me all the best, just go. Just say, I wish you all the best. You don't have to say you want to. I will presume you want to if you did. Because why would you do something you didn't want to do in a video that you didn't have to do in the first place?
In your future, hopefully within a presidential administration.
Not this one, though.
and hope that you can use these lessons in order to achieve your goals and to
Oh, yeah.
help move policy
I'm making my dreams come true.
forward.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Chapter 3 of Project 2025, Social Media Messaging to Advance Policy. Now, this one is, God help us, shorter than a lot of the other ones, so I did it early today. And I would like to say, if I may, that there is a follow-up to this one that is about the actual message itself, which is, this is kind of the tee-up for the mechanics. The next one is about actually the propaganda that they're actually trying to convey. And it's sort of a cross between this video and the first two from the ladies that are trying to, make climate change mean, population control, all that stuff. Getting that's where the rubber hits the road if they ever get this together. So there you go. That said, thank you, guys, for sitting through that with me. Now, I'm going to set up and do the regular show. Give me 1 second, and I will bring up some videos, talk amongst yourselves, and I want to thank you guys so very much. There's what? Oh, all right, that stuff. There was a speech from is that? Hold on. Yeah, here we go. Let's grab this one. I'm gonna stop this. Hold on. And then, yeah, I have been, ladies and gentlemen, going through oh joy, oh rapture. Oh well, you know what? This is a little generic on this end. Let's this Sean Hannity clip that's in there is almost like it's a blank slate. It's a tabula rasa, ladies and gentlemen. This is a video from Sean Hannity entitled, This is Pathetic. Brilliant. I know what you're thinking. Every day he finds a new way to capture what's left of my internal organs. Not my heart, not my brain, but certainly the chunk of what used to be my appendix. And maybe he's just talking about his job. Sometimes Sean Hannity tattles on himself, and we haven't seen him in quite some time. This is the swamp. This is D.C., and it's green because of swamps are green, I guess is the idea. But I thought Trump had emptied the swamp. It was going to be very easy, and he was going to do it very quickly, if you'll recall. And he was there for 4 years, so obviously quick in his time scale is obviously broader than that. Let's find out. We may not do this whole video because I don't like this person, but we'll see what the hell he's even talking about. Welcome to Sean Hannity. What in the fresh hell?
Very clear. The federal government is totally out of control, and freedoms that you thought you had are.
Oh boy. Okay, so this is just generic. What was he trying to be, like the thumb version of Alex Jones?
Non-existent. And with 69 days until Election Day.
How many days? How many days is it?
You thought you had are non-existent. And with 69 days until.
Sorry. You were saying this is pathetic. It's pathetic, Sean. It's pathetic. You're watching House Sparks Megaworldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, etc., etc.
Election Day, 21 days until early voting begins in Pennsylvania. Mail-in ballots going out even sooner than that in the next week.
That's so scary.
Or two. And many Americans are asking themselves, who is in charge of this country? And
Joe Biden's still president, and Kamala Harris is campaigning and still getting her briefings on the regular. We have a functioning staff working at all times like we do. But, sorry, were we supposed to think this all the time Trump was golfing? Like, anytime he's swinging his golf club, like, who the fuck is in charge? Is that how we're supposed to react?
And how corrupt are big institutions in America, like big tech, like the
How corrupt are they?
media, state-run media mob, like our government. Joe Biden is on his second consecutive beach week vacation.
Beak weech. Well, he needs time, a lot of vacation time when most presidents take it in August, by the way. He needs that time because he has trouble speaking. He has like, and I'll give you an example. There's a phrase, I think it's Beach Week, that he nails it every time I've seen him, but apparently it's hard to say.
Joe Biden is on his second consecutive beach week vacation. Nothing on his calendar. He's been mentally checked out for quite some time. Well, that would mean Vice.
Also, what does he have to have on his calendar? Honestly, what's he going to do? He's not running again. He's busy being president. What interviews does he have to do? Like, who gives a shit? She's campaigning. He's being president. They've got legislation they're going to introduce. They're working on that. It's August. He's obviously getting all of his briefings all the goddamn time. Trump golfed more than any president in history. Sean said he needed that time because he's such a great thinker, and it helped him relax.
President Harris, is she in charge? Do we know? Because she doesn't seem to know. She's been traveling around the country for weeks on end, pretending to be a challenger, all while vowing to fix the problems that she caused with Joe.
She caused?
On day one.
How did she cause the problems on day one? I mean, if you're going to blame her for the problems, I think you got to give them a time at least to ramp up the problems, yeah?
Day one, Kamala, was January 20th, 2021, not 2025.
Yeah, but she's the vice president. She can advise and consent the president, give out advice and consent to the president, but, she can give advice to him. And he seeks her advice and consent from the cabinet and other people, and Congress. But he ultimately makes the decision. She doesn't get to make that decision. And if you don't believe me, look at the fact that Biden got us out of Afghanistan. Obama did not. Obama wanted to talk to it, and Joe actually advised him, we got to get out. The generals are going to tell you over and over again. They're going to insist that we just need 6, 8, 10 more weeks. And you're going to look up and 10 months have passed. I'm telling you, they're going to, every time they come back, they're going to say this. And when he became president himself, he immediately said, we got a timeline, we're getting the fuck out. If you need, we're going to do 90 days to add on just helping get people out. But beyond that, we're gone.
And now she's not giving many details at all. They don't have time for any more details. They're very stressed out. Now,
by the way, Sean, that's fascinating that you would project those words. Because she never said she was stressed out. Nobody on their team has said they're stressed out. They're just saying they're working a lot. They've got a lot to do. They've got a lot on their plate. But there's a lot of joy going on. They're having a lot of fun, which is probably the thing that's stressing you out. And that's why you inserted that phrase, that they're stressed out. That came from you. That came from you, my little reject from our gang that grew up and was the only surviving member.
There are no policy positions that are listed on her website. She has participated in 0 press conferences, 0 town halls, 0 interviews. But this coming Thursday, we got the big announcement after 7+ weeks. Kamala will finally...
Also, 7+ weeks, by the way, of her going from the vice president running to being the head of the ticket, picking her vice president, and then taking all the policy positions of the Biden administration that she's going to take on herself, what she would do in her own presidency, which is, very similar, a lot of continuity, but need to be rephrased, rearranged so that she communicates them from her priorities as a president instead of her, the president's priorities that she was helping facilitate, make happen. You know what? I don't even know why you're asking me this, Sean. You should talk to? You should talk to Mike Pence. He's got history being a vice president, and he knows what it's like to be there and be responsible for everything the president did and yet not actually have a say.
Sit down for her very first TV interview. Take a look at the conditions, though. This is going to be a pre-recorded interview on fake news CNN. Of course. Why didn't they just do Rachel Maddow, the conspiracy theorist and liar on MSDNC?
How's she a conspiracy theorist? I mean, I'm sure they have some running thing. Does anybody know what the primary conspiracy she's supposed to be? Is Sean butthurt about her Spiro Agnew podcast? Is that what it is?
And she's doing it with far-left Trump hater Dana Bash. Let's see if she can keep her fairness.
Far-left Trump hater Dana Bash. First of all, it's Dana. Secondly, Trump just said she was very fair to him. Right? Trump has been kissing her ass and Jake Tapper's ass since the debate.
Record going for two interviews in a row.
Stop clicking your pen, you unprofessional prick. Listen to this.
Anyway, Vice President Walz will be present. He's there to offer moral support and bail Kamala out if she gets lost in one of her now famous never-ending platitudes about the passage of time. Time is passing, and we're all passing through time. If Kamala can't handle a single live interview by herself with a friendly CNN host, how's she going to handle President Xi, Vladimir Putin?
Well, I mean, you would handle those people differently than you're conveying messaging for a campaign, for example. Once you're in office, how you talk to other world leaders is based on a position of power, as opposed to, communicating your desire. Because I don't know if this will shock you, Sean, but Xi Jinping doesn't get to vote for our leaders. So you can talk to him in a way you don't have to talk to the voters. And you don't have to worry about communicating to him the way you care about communicating to the voters, because you want them to know you care about them, and you may have policies that they disagree with or that are difficult for them to understand, or that you want to convey in the best way, in the cleanest way possible, and that takes time. And she just became the head of the ticket, whereas with Xi Jinping, we have national policy, and the policy of the Biden administration will carry straight through, including the CHIPS Act, all the shit that the Republicans, who slam China all the time, voted against because they're assholes. That would be the issue. That's why, because talking to voters is different than talking to adversarial world leaders. And maybe your candidate wouldn't be slipping in the polls if he understood that. If he didn't talk to to Kim Jong-un nicer than he talks to most of the American people. It's a thought.
Or the mullahs in Iran, or any other adversarial world leader.
Well, I don't think she's looking to get their vote. I don't think she gives a shit what they think about her tax policy, or whether they understand the value of it, or whether she thinks the mullahs in Iran will know the difference between Trump saying no tax on tips and her saying no tax on tips for hospitality workers. You notice the distinction there? Do you think that's an important distinction, Sean? Do you think that no tax on tips by itself, without that hospitality workers things, which involves, again, people who work in the restaurant industry, clean rooms, drive cars, all that kind of stuff, the people that you normally tip in the normal order of your life, that making that specific to the rule is meaningful, versus Trump saying no tax on tips, and if whoever gave fucking Bob Menendez all those gold bars just calls it a tip, we're good.
It's pathetic. And Dana, let me give you all of your research.
Dana.
Right now. It's all on Hannity.com. They're called the Kamala Files, the Walz Files.
Co-sponsored Bernie Sanders Medicare for All Act. Again, she's not going to lose anybody on this one.
This is Kamala and
Sponsored bill providing illegals with a right to legal representation. Our Constitution provides for that. Just saying. Also, if they don't have legal representation, they can't be processed. And if they're not processed, they can keep coming back into the country, and because they haven't been adjudicated. And they can make the argument that once they're kicked out, they can come back in and keep trying. And if they get legal representation, they haven't denied legal representation. When you kick them out, they have to stay out. And they can go to jail in this country or theirs if they come back in. If they don't have legal representation, they can keep trying to come through. There's Title 42 for you, you dumb motherfucker.
Walz in their own words. You don't have to do the research. We did it all for you.
Great. Expressed support for sanctuary cities. What'd she say? San Francisco is a beautiful town?
You can fact check. It's not AI generated. Does she still want to ban fracking and drilling? Is she still bragging about Bidenomics? Does she...
Yes, still bragging about Bidenomics, as she should, and no, she doesn't want to ban fracking. It's a transitional fuel source as we move towards nuclear and solar.
Still think inflation is...
Introduced legislation to block the implementation of the Trump travel restrictions. You mean the Muslim ban? Gee, I can't imagine why. It's almost as if she doesn't have a problem with complexity, and she would rather have a comprehensive way of handling it as opposed to something that's just straight ahead racist.
Is transitory. Does she still want to decriminalize illegal immigration and offer free housing?
Touted agreement of COP28 to phase out fossil fuels. I think the phase out part is kind of brilliant. I got news for you. Fossil fuels are going to phase themselves out once we run out. You do know that, right? You know that at some point, and a lot sooner than you think, especially with world demand, oil and gas are going to phase themselves out. Coal is going to phase itself out. It is a limited resource, right? Even if you don't believe in climate change, it's going to phase itself out at some point. Why would you not want to just go ahead and move to the part where you're not reliant on shit you have to dig out of the ground? Why would you want to go there if you can and start building on that technology, especially if it's renewable and doesn't pollute the aquifers of your own country? This is one of the problems they have with like net zero. He doesn't understand what phase out means. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, yes, this is a new shirt. It's on my Twitter. I mean, on my Twitch channel, sorry. My Twitch store. It's my Sweet Home Alabama style, classic rock house shirt.
Housing, healthcare, and education.
I sometimes buy demos of these shirts so that I can wear them and wash them to see if they actually last, because I hate merch that breaks apart. And in the past, I've had that, and I feel bad when people wear it and it's all worn out. It makes me sad, right? It's kind of disappointing. But I can't afford to do the big, get a bunch printed in the real, the kind that last forever and stuff that are kind of imprinted instead of iron on there, imprinted into the fabric itself. Yeah. Yes, I did the artwork myself.
To illegals and make American taxpayers pay for it. And what does she say to the family?
By the way, we pay for it anyways. But if somebody comes across 5 times, we have to give them food and shelter while we dump them back out. And then they come back through, and next time they're carrying drugs, and we pay for the cost of all those drugs entering the system, or if they're sex trafficked, or they're attacked themselves, or they're traumatized, or any of that kind of stuff. We pay for that ultimately too, because of the nature of our country. Like, because we are I think Sean would call it a Christian nation, but obviously he doesn't live that way, so he doesn't know what the fuck that means. But the idea is that we have just the international standards about somebody who's on your soil, right? We have to do the bare minimum of that. If we actually give people representation and they try to sneak across multiple times, once they've had representation, you can expel them and say, no, you don't have a right, you don't have an asylum claim, you're not you're not going to get a green card, and when you get kicked out, if you come back, you go to jail, or here or in your country. If they don't have representation, they can keep coming through and keep coming through and keep coming through and keep coming through. And the multitude of times they try, the first time they might pay somebody to take them across, but the second time they don't have any money. So what do? They carry a bag of drugs. That's how it works. We do pay for it, you dumb motherfucker.
These are victims of Harris, Biden, unvetted illegals, those that were murdered and raped, and victims of other horrendous crimes in this country.
Real quick, assault weapons, middle schools and elementary schools. Go. I just want to see your concern level. I mean, it matters. You're worried about people who are assaulted, right? Who are murdered. Let's do, if the person didn't have a 30-round magazine, someone could have disarmed them a lot sooner, therefore less dead kids. How about that? Go with that real quick. And that's here. That's even if you shut the border. Let me explain this to you, Sean. If you close the border, seal the border fucking tight, we still have this problem. And you have no interest in solving it, right? Never mind statistically that they don't do those kind of crimes, especially, but and most undocumented immigrants or illegal immigrants act on other illegal immigrants. They are the victims themselves as well.
Country, does she still support amnesty for illegal?
Okay, sponsored bill banning DHS from using Fed funds to build, expand immigration detention facilities. Right, because we need money to process them. We need processing facilities. We don't need temp prisons that we just fill up with people, asshole. If you build these things, they will fill them up. But if you don't have anybody to process them, they'll just keep, it creates the cycle. Again, why are we paying for buildings just so people have a way station if they get caught before they're sent back so they can pick up another bag of drugs and come back through, right? I'm trying to use your logic, and oh god.
Illegals? Does she still refer to ICE?
Wait? What was the next one? You got something more on the list?
This is the KKK. Want to defund them and defund and dismantle the police and reimagine them and implement no bail laws. How about, are you going to ask about her support for the?
By the way, there's not nobody. Even the cash bail thing isn't about no bail. It is about, like, if you have somebody who's impoverished and you have somebody who is well-to-do, and they're both going to be put in jail for the same thing. They both committed the exact same crime, but one person has cash to put up for bail. They're guilty. I'll give you this one. They're guilty. This person is guilty. They have the cash for bail, but they're fucking guilty. Then you have another person who's poor, is not guilty, but randomly looks like the person who did the crime and doesn't have the cash. This person stays in jail. This person walks. Right? This person gets to go off and prepare for their defense and all that kind of stuff. And the innocent person who just doesn't have the money, doesn't have, can't get bail, or doesn't have anything, doesn't have like the resources to put up a bond even, right? That's the issue. And again, it doesn't stop the fucking OJs or the Epsteins, right?
The rioters in the summer of 2020, the summer of love, 507.
The protesters. So some protesters were scooped up with the rioters and were being jailed because they were basically out protesting as the sun went down. They got scooped up with the police. They weren't doing riotous behavior. They were just protesting. They got thrown in with the same thing. And so some people worked to get them out while the rioters stayed in jail. That was the argument. The problem was they didn't make a distinction when they were filing charges against people because they were just kind of grabbing up large groups of people. This is garbage.
74 riots and insurrections at once.
Hey, it was, what do you want? It was the Trump administration. It was a hellscape. What are you going to tell me? I forget who was president in May of 2020. Do you remember, Sean? Because I haven't seen anything like this with Biden in office. Shit, even the DNC was lovely.
She glad that she said they're not going to stop and they shouldn't stop, and tweeting out
protesting
out that bail fund. And what about Timmy, her running mate? He still want tampons in boys' bathrooms?
Available in the bathrooms. Let's say, for example, you got two bathrooms in a school, and for some reason, the boys' room's got toilets in. It's got urinals as well. It's got toilets as well. Something happens in the girls' bathroom, and temporarily everybody has to take turns going into the boys' room, and there's not a tampon dispenser in there. So there it is. Why is that difficult? Now, I would argue that that all schools should have tampons available in the nurse's office. I mean, it should be real easy. Because I got news for you. If you put a tampon dispenser in the boys' room of most of the schools I went to, people would just they'd just be taking them out for free and fucking making jokes with them all day long, because boys are boys. But I think they should be available in all schools where kids are puberty age and higher. They're available in the nurse's office. Right? That shouldn't be difficult, right? Because yeah. How a tampon killed your father when he was a boy. Was it in a cannon? Did they use it as wadding and he thought it was going to be fine? And then it hit him and he got toxic shock syndrome?
He still want to eliminate all parental rights and offer gender-affirming care for kids without adults' permission. And
yeah, that's not what that is. Kids can't go to the doctor without their parents. At school, if they're dressing as a girl or dressing as a boy or fucking wearing eye makeup or something, they don't snitch to the parents. If you're a parent and you're that unaware of what's going on with your kid, work on it. But the reason they don't do that is because in the occasional time where they're I don't know what the fuck the process is, where they just, what are you doing, Jerry? I'm making the calls today. Hi, is this Mr. Hendrickson? Yeah. Do you know your son wears a dress at school? Hello? He just walked away from the phone. He left it. It's still on. He's just screaming something at his wife. I think he just smacked her. I think that's the sound of a gun cocking. How does that work? What's the fucking protocol? What are they supposed to do? Call and snitch on the kids? And also, what do they do? Call up and go, do you realize that your son is wearing a dress at school? And they're like, yeah, leave him the fuck alone, click. Right? Why is it the teacher's job to snitch on the fashion or behavior or the fucking pronouns or name choice of a fucking kid? Why are they the gender police for parents? Why do Republicans want state employees to inform on children to their families? Explain this to me. How does this work? Because they bring this up all the fucking time. I mean, it should be protocol that parents teach the kids. And if I'll give you an example. When I was fourth grade, I guess. Third grade. I did my times tables, specifically my 3s and 4s, dressed as Paul Stanley of Kiss, because I and some of my friends performed the entirety of Alive 2 at an assembly for all the students, and we were practicing when I had to go back up to class and do my times tables dressed as Paul Stanley. And I was in long underwear and a long underwear shirt that was cut open like this, that had like rhinestones all over it, including the entire crotch, which was, and then rain boots that were wrapped in tinfoil because we were poor. And so it was the closest thing that I could do that, right? And so I did my 3s and 4s dressed as Paul Stanley. I also, by the way, when I was in second grade, I was reading a lot of Archie comics, and I made myself a Jughead crown. I took cardboard, and I made a little crown, and I wrapped it in tinfoil, and I put a little circle on it and a little triangle, because he always had a circle and a triangle on this. I don't know what the fuck that was, and you couldn't buy shit back then. And so, I wore it for months when I was a kid. I was like 8. And I wore a Jughead crown to school. And one of my teachers got all mad about it, and another one didn't give a shit and thought it was funny, but I just wore it all the time. Now, I also have both my ears pierced. When I was a kid, I only had this one pierced. I have 3 holes in this ear, okay? I got the first earring piercing when I was 4 years old at Friendship, Indiana, at a rendezvous with a guy named Cricket stuck a leather awl through my ear and put a piece of bent silver in it. And that's it. And that's the primary earring I had in my ear, all 3 of them from when I was a kid. And I went to school one day, and the teacher, and this is kind of in line with what this asshole is asking for, called up my dad and said, "Do you realize your son is wearing a earring?" And my dad, "We need you to come down here." And so my dad showed up at school wearing his earring. And that was the end of that. There is no reason why a teacher at school should be calling a fucking parent and chastising them that their child might be identifying as trans or is trans or any of that stuff. It's none of your fucking business. Is the kid reading or writing or doing math or science or social studies at proficiency? If you have a problem teaching kids that don't look like you think they're supposed to look, get out of teaching, asshole. But the idea that, like, Sean Hannity needs teachers to snitch on kids as if their parents don't know. And let me tell you, in the few instances where the parents don't know, that's a lot of, oftentimes, where the kid is in danger. One of the reasons why they also do this, why they don't have teachers calling parents and telling them this shit if kids are experimenting with this kind of stuff, is because those are the kids that end up on the fucking street. Those are the kids that get kicked out of their house. Those are the kids who you have to dress like this only when they're outside of the house. Right? How would have been 11 in 79? No, I was 9 in 79. You can always track my age to the year. I was September of 1969. Yeah. So specifically, this is, if you look at kids that commit suicide, end up on the street, end up, with drug addiction, prostitution, psychological issues, it's the kids that can only be themselves outside the house. And if their parents found out, they'd beat the fuck out of them. What Sean believes is that that's what they need. If these boys would stop dressing as girls if their dad just knew about it and would kick the shit out of them. That's fuck you, Sean Hannity. Fuck you. Stop trying to micromanage every goddamn kid that's out there because 0.05% of the populace is trans and you're all freaked out because dudes have earrings now and long fucking hair. You thumb.
Illegal driver's licenses and free college for illegals. These are important questions. And so far, she will only commit.
By the way, free college for illegals, what they mean is that DACA recipients get the same rights as American citizens because they've been here since they were 3.
To a single debate. She tried hard to get out of it, even on left-wing ABC, after Donald Trump had already agreed to all the rules they themselves demanded. They requested them. And recently, Kamala tried to change the rules at the last minute.
No, she didn't.
Requesting that the mics remain hot throughout the debate. She wanted to
Also, why is that weird? Why does look, I understand Donald Trump has all the best words, but I got to tell you, anybody that was watching my live stream of the last debate when I did the breakdown, 11640, baby, Donald Trump shit himself on TV. And you know how we know it was just him and only him? Because his was the only mic that was live. He was on stage with Joe Biden. If both mics were live, they could have gone, that wasn't me, that was Joe. I was talking, right? Because both mics were live, but they weren't. Right? What he's worried about is that while she's talking, he will shit himself like he was doing with Biden. And instead of Biden just looking at him going, oh my God, this fucker is shitting himself, she's going to go, are you okay? Can I get some sort of a fan blowing the air this way? Because it's over. When that happens, fucking done.
Manufacture another. I'm speaking. Do you know I'm speaking, which kind of went viral.
Kinda? Asshole, you don't even like the people that interrupted her.
God forbid Donald Trump ever interrupted her during a debate. But today.
Yeah, you can, during a back and forth part of the debate where you both speak freely, yeah. But if he's talking over her while she's got her 2 minutes to respond and he's interjecting during that, it's gross. It's a pain in the ass. It's outside of normal debate behavior. The problem that he has is that all she's got to do is go, nope, while he's saying stuff. Hey, the mics are fucking live. If he wants to interrupt, she can interrupt. And I got to tell you, there's not going to be a problem if they're having a debate and he's talking out of his ass like he does, and she goes, "That's ridiculous." And she's admonished by the debate people or whatever, and go, Madam Vice President, we'll allow you to answer in a moment, but he's speaking or whatever. It's just stupid. What he's saying is just absurd. That never happened. It's just he's making it up again. He makes things up. You're the one that makes things up. No, I'm not. But that's what he's worried about. Sean Hannity is really worried. He's watching Trump just mentally deflate in front of him. And everything he has said about Joe Biden is true about Trump in spades. And it's freaking him the fuck out because it's not going to get better.
Today on Truth Social, Donald Trump has agreed to the debate with the same rules that they originally agreed to. Jason Miller from the Trump campaign said the Harris campaign wanted to have a seated debate. She wanted cheat sheets. She wanted notes in front of her and hot mics the whole time. The opposite of everything she agreed to. Now, keep in mind,
again, they offered these things up because she wants to debate. I first of all, I don't believe him. They could just say shit, and the Harris campaign is going to go, no, he didn't. He's talking out of his ass, and that's that. That's what's going to be the back and forth here. I don't care. The standards for the debate are whatever they are. She's going to do well. She's going to beat him. Hot mics or isolated mics. Notes, no notes. Standing or sitting. He's fucked.
ABC News is openly hostile to former President Donald Trump and most Republicans.
Well, there's a lot of women that work there, and some of them have daughters even. It might be shocking to you, but there are men that work there who actually don't have contempt for women.
For example, you might recall, here is ABC News reporter Rachel Scott with the very first question during Donald Trump's appearance at the National Association of Black Journalists. Take a look at this.
Rachel Scott. Look, very seldom do two first names make us all go, oh.
Ask yourself, does this sound like journalism or a talk show host?
I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir.
It sounds like journalism. Specifically that she says, I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room.
A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today.
Yeah, about 90% of the audience.
You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true.
Racist false claims, by the way, not just false claims. Not, like one of the false claims is John McCain isn't a hero because he was captured. That is materially false and ethically and morally false, but also up for debate apparently within, in between Donald Trump's fucking ears. But it's not based on his skin color, the way these were.
You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So,
right now, Sean Hannity is going, when's the last time I had dinner with, what is she talking about? I didn't have dinner. Oh, she means, right. Wait. He invited Nick and he didn't invite me?
My question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first,
by the way, if you aren't racist and if you are you have the best words and you are full of charisma, you would be able to answer that question with aplomb, with calmly and succinctly and with a certain level of grace. If you're a defensive asshole who knows he's being called out because you think even worse things than you said, you're going to answer like this.
First of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question so in such a horrible manner. First question.
Trump wins the crowd over. Anyway.
No, they weren't approving of his answer. They were shocked at him. It was like watching a comedy sketch. He didn't win them over, asshole.
It gets worse. One of ABC News' top so-called journalists, a former Clinton hack. We'll be talking a lot about him in the days to come. His name is Georgi Stephanopoulos. Take a look.
We better be ready for the fact that he might be leading the Republican ticket.
Next, I know you don't believe that. The course of Trump's presidency will turn on his coming public showdown with James Comey. The big question, did President Trump try to block the FBI's Russia investigation, commit an impeachable offense?
Good. Yes. Yes, he did. That's the problem with showing clips from 2017, Sean.
Good morning. Hope you had a good week. It was another one of those wild ones at the White House. How strange.
Why is that terrible? It was another one of those wild ones at the White House. Why is that? How does that make your clip reel of how dare he? Dude, even pro-Trump people would refer to weeks at the Trump White House wild ones. They'd pat themselves on the back for having another wild one.
How strange is it for you to sit here and compare the president to a mob boss? You write the president.
Hold on. What? Run that by me again?
Is it for you to sit here and... Good week. It was another one of those wild ones at the White House. How strange is it for you to sit here and compare the president to a mob boss?
Okay, again, that's not George Stephanopoulos. This is so fucking weird. That's not George Stephanopoulos agreeing with Comey or saying it himself. He's literally taking a quote from Comey and saying, "How strange is it for you to refer to him as that?" Like these are really standard things. It's odd watching Sean Hannity get this butthurt about these statements. Is it just me, chat room, or does it seem odd that these would be the statements that you pick out as like, they're totally against me?
Right, that President Trump is unethical, untethered to the truth. Is Donald Trump unfit to be president?
That he's reading his own quotes and asking him that question. What's his opinion? Why is this weird? Why he does realize that when you, maybe he doesn't. Maybe Sean Hannity thinks that, if anybody asks even an uncomfortable question about Trump, they're not on the team, and therefore, I don't know what the fuck. We could probably find more quotes of Sean Hannity saying Trump is making a mistake or doing something wrong or screwing up way worse than any of this shit.
It's all too easy to fall into reflexive habits, to treat this as a normal campaign where both sides embrace the rule of law, where both sides are dedicated to a debate based on facts and the peaceful transfer of power. But that is not what's happening this election year.
Right. That's after Jan 6, you asshole.
Point out those statements.
Notice they take the date off. Notice this one says July 14th, but notice they take the year off these others to make it think like, we're talking about, he said this for years.
From J.D. Vance and Vivek Ramaswamy, of course, President Trump and his supporters have contributed to this violent rhetoric as well.
Well, he claims to be a journalist. He's not. He is a liberal talk show host and a...
Jesus Christ. Dude, I will at least give Sean Hannity this. He does not claim to be a journalist any more than he cops to being client number 3 of Michael Cohen.
Of one as well. Anyway, ABC is a cheerleader for the Harris campaign, and yet...
How? And again, anybody who calls Trump out on his bullshit or talks honestly about him or what he's said or how he's behaved is suddenly a cheerleader for the other side. So that's the standard.
Kamala Harris is still scared to debate Donald Trump, trying to get her hardest to get out the last couple of days. It is not just her trouble speaking without a teleprompter and constant, nervous, bizarre giggling. Kamala Harris appears... Also,
by the way, all right, cackling is not giggling. Giggling is small. It's like, let me put it this way. Giggling is what college girls do when they see your penis. Cackling is what grown women do when they see it, Sean. That help you distinct. One's big, the other one's just kind of covering the mouth and pointing. Does that help you work it out? All right.
Appears to be in the midst of an identity crisis since becoming the Democratic nominee.
Or is in the process of going from vice president to being the top of the ticket in 7 fucking weeks. Sean, you have to understand, she's gone from being the vice president, and she is the sitting vice president right now, during a very tumultuous time in American history, to becoming the head of the ticket in very short order, picking her vice president, and going through an entire, the DNC in a matter of a couple of weeks. There have been a lot of drastic jump up changes in her life. She, only a short time ago, she was a senator and then vice president and now on her way to becoming the president. These are giant leaps forward. You, Sean Hannity, for all your success, have stagnated at this point for years. There's a glass ceiling above. There's an abyss below. But there is nothing but this for as far as the eye can see. Sean, your future is this same thing over and over and over until you get Bill O'Reilly old, Fox replaces you, and you have a podcast. Now, you'll be a multi-millionaire when that happens, and you will never want for anything. But in spite of that, you will still be a miserable, worthless piece of shit. And no one will know that better than you. People will avoid you at parties. People will return your phone call for fear that maybe one day your podcast will take off for a short time. But slowly, over time, maybe even not that slowly, the calls will be fewer and farther between, and word will get back that they never really liked you. That felt good, I gotta say. That, ladies and gentlemen, we've never really done a deep dive into the collapsing psychology of Sean Hannity, but everything I just said is true. Everything I've just said about Sean Hannity is inevitable. Just like Glenn Beck. And Tucker Carlson is in the early swing of it. That guy is the young version of this fail scheme. Dude, when you were born with a silver spoon up your ass, I guess a plastic spork made of gold because you're from the Swanson frozen dinner fortune. And you go to boarding school and you're raised rich and you just like dance into a gig on CNN and end up being one of the highest paid people for years on Fox News. And then because you're a Russia suck up and you cost the network hundreds of millions of dollars, they kick you to the fucking curb. And now, after all this, he and I are on the same level. We do the same fucking job. He can buy the reach. He can buy a bunch of bot farms. He can have the Rumble guys with their fucking servers in Florida fake boost his show. And he can have Elon Musk have his bot farm, blow up his show temporarily and shit like that. But it's not going to change anything. It's still the same level that every other independent media person is. Yeah, the difference is that my friends are happy to see me. They really are. My life, for all of its challenges, because we all have them, is a fucking joy. And the biggest challenge I have in my life, honest to God, is that I travel so much for work, doing stand-up and music and all that kind of stuff. And I, spend a lot of time here in Vegas, and a lot of my friends are in LA and Chicago and stuff, is that I spend a good portion of my time missing people I love very deeply as friends, and I can't wait to see them again, and they're all over the goddamn place. Meanwhile, Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson, their families can't stand them. They're the people. Thanks, Kate. Yes, you are. And I miss you guys. Like, I get to see you guys in here. Like, Hannity on his radio show, or however they stream his fucking show. Same thing with Tucker Carlson. They don't put the fucking chat up. It'd be a nightmare. Good Lord, we occasionally will get like a racist troll in here, something, throwing bombs in, but none of the regulars. I don't have to worry about you guys going off the fucking rails and say, Hitler was right bullshit. Tucker Carlson sure as fuck does. You're never going to see him run his chat room live. Ever. On screen. Are you fucking crazy? You think that's ever going to happen with Sean Hannity or Bill O'Reilly or even Glenn Beck, for fuck's sake? Never. Never. I have a freedom because of the kind of crowd I attract and the things I talk about, that the people who are on my side, I never have to worry about you guys ever being awful. Just think about the chats you have seen when on re-airs or any of these like stolen live streams where they post Sean Hannity's show or something like that. Just go take a gander sometime and go, holy fuck, if this was on screen right now, that Fox News would have to shut down. They'd zipper the place shut and just turn off the lights and run out of the fucking building. Yeah, you are a bunch of sweethearts, you magnificent sons of bitches. You are occasionally naughty. That's fine. Naughty's fine, though. Naughty's done with love. Yeah? But, like, I'm serious. Like, when I'm watching some of this stuff for research, God help me, the fucking chat rooms on the Blaze and on RSPN especially, holy shit. If they put it on screen, they'd be done. Not even just with like advertisers, with their own families and friends. Like, wait a minute, that's your audience? Happy birthday, Barbara. Did I miss it? Okay. Hold on. Where somebody? Would you kindly wish Barbara happy? Absolutely, Mary. Happy birthday, dear Barbara. Happy birthday, dear Barbara. Happy birthday. They're coming to get you, Barbara. Happy birthday to you. There you go. Do. Yeah. So, whew. Here's another example. And don't judge the first person. Hold on. Yeah. Here's another person who, well, I'm going to show you a screenshot with two people on it. One wonderful, one not. Gee, I wonder if you can guess which one. This is, of course, our dear friend Mark Hamill, who I share a birthday with, I would like to remind you. Wow, my voice got really loud when I said who for some reason. Interesting. Anyways, it's obviously the Force. This is Greg Kelly. This is a video entitled Kamala Harris wants the world to know she's a girl boss. Greg Kelly. Now, I don't know why this is a slam. I know why Greg Kelly thinks it's a slam, because he's still mad that occasionally on the bus he's expected to give up his seat to a woman, and he thinks there's something while he's torn between his trad wife right-wing beliefs and fuck these bitches, they never smile at me. So obviously he's got an issue, right? Yes, my birthday is next month, September 25th. Everyone, put that in your calendar. Don't forget. But it's also Mark Hamill's and Barbara Walters and Christopher Reeve. And so I'm in good company. Also Will Smith. You can't win them all. I used to be happy about Will Smith and I sharing a birthday. Now I feel like I should call, like me and Mark should call Chris Rock and apologize on behalf of this day. Anyways, that said, this is, I guess, Greg Kelly very upset that ladies get power sometimes.
The MAGA cult is based on lies. The MAGA cult is built on demonizing the media.
The MAGA cult around Donald Trump.
At the moment, there is no Republican Party. There is a MAGA cult of personality.
These guys. By the way, Greg, Booby, you should just let this one lie. Yeah, you of all fucking people should just take your hands off the table. Just back away slowly, because you're patient fucking zero for people who would crawl through broken glass to suck the shit off of Trump's taint weekly. So don't, if this is your attack point, we're walking down a really dark alley, dum-dum.
Guys, they don't understand us. They don't understand Trump. I bet
nobody does, you dumbass. You're weird. That's the point. I don't understand what the fucking that is. I don't understand why you're always looking at your desk. I don't understand why you get angry at people in your office if they sit in your lounger in the office, even if they're your guest at the station enough to make it a segment on your fucking show. I don't know if you guys remember that. At one point, I forget who it was. Somebody came. Oh, Sean Spicer came over and took a picture sitting in this Barca lounger this asshole has in his office, and as a joke. And Greg Kelly was so pissed, he showed it, and he's like, people think it's funny, that they come in there, they're like, they think they're gonna upset me, and I'm not upset. It's just, you don't ask. He was actually angry. Like the fucking weaselly turd he is.
None of them ever watched a Trump rally, especially.
Hey, asshole, I will co-sign everything that they're saying, and I've seen more Trump rallies than you have, dipshit. Greg Kelly, toe-to-toe, motherfucker. I guarantee I've seen more Trump rallies end to end, all the way through, than you have. No question. And I'll even include the early ones when he was borderline making at least complete sentences. My long-term chatters have seen more Trump rallies than he has.
Luke Skywalker.
His name is Mark Hamill. That's a character he played. When you're not when you're accused of not being tethered to reality, it would be helpful. Never mind.
Haven't. They don't know what they're talking about.
They know exactly what they're talking about, stupid. But explain it to us.
Donald Trump talks about issues all the time.
Does he? He talks about issues all the time? What issues did he talk about? People coming from mental institutions across the border? Crazy people? Rapists and murderers who are taking black jobs? Because apparently that's the biggest job black people have is raper. And apparently they make a living wage at it, so it's enough to draw immigrants here to steal that rapey job? What?
The media, they feast on other things, right? But
They feast on other things. No, not right. I don't know what you're talking about.
No. If you're on his side and you've been watching, that he has pretty compelling solutions for our problems. It's not a...
He does? He's got pretty compelling solutions? What, drill, baby, drill? Seal the border? Explain to me how that works. What's drill, baby, drill? This is 9,000 unused leases the oil companies have, right? 9,000. Plus, by the way, more than 9,000, but at least 9,000 unused leases. So what does drill, baby, drill mean? Does that mean he forces through the federal government through like taxation or threats of heightened regulation or legal maneuvers or seizing the oil industry by the government to make oil companies create more of a product than they can sell so that they lower the price, which goes against their fiduciary duty to their investors. So he, as a Republican president, is going to force them to overproduce their product. So if he can do that to oil, why can't he do it to everybody else? What company is then free from government coercion if Donald Trump can force oil companies to drill, baby, drill? What does that mean? How? That's the compelling solution, is the how. It's not just what you call it, you dumb motherfucker.
A cult of personality.
You're a cult of personality. And again, a montage of extremity that is not the Democratic Party, because you're just taking... Why don't I just put up like January 6th and fucking the Jews will not replace us and fucking I don't know, Blair. Here we'll put Blair White right here, right? We'll put Nick Fuentes over here. We'll have a bunch of people like I don't know, like the guy with the Confederate flag walking through the rotunda. Why don't I just make a picture that isn't that representative of the Republican Party? Asshole, this ain't an answer. Also, I don't even know what the fuck is happening up here.
An agenda to fix what's wrong in America. You can call it MAGA, Make America Great Again.
Well, I gotta say, if I think of MAGA, I do think of like shit and chaos and craziness, because whatever you say Trump's gonna do, what happened during his last year in office was a fucking shitstorm. It was just like so much of the pictures of like, this is Joe Biden's America, occurred in Trump's presidency.
You know, sometimes they'll say, oh, you MAGA people, you don't know the policies. Well, we do.
Okay, great. Tell me this is it, baby. All right. He knows. In the fight to restore America, MAGA. They know the policies. What's the policy, baby? I'm so excited. Greg, we're a minute in to a 15-minute clip. I don't need to waste my whole fucking time, so kill it, baby. That's right. Tell it. Here it comes. The policies and how they actually, not the name of the policy, but what the actual policy is. Let's hear it.
They're pretty simple. For me.
Great. They're pretty simple for you. I just lost all hope that we're going to... Okay, go ahead.
The border, sexualization of children we don't like, and endless wars. Those are the big three. But what about...
Okay, the border. There was a border bill. It was a compromise between Republicans and Democrats. It would have been signed into law. He specifically told maggots not to vote for it. if you think it's that big a problem. It was the number one thing you answered. If you even think the border bill isn't doing enough, you still pass it because it's an emergency. Because even if it's a Band-Aid, you can go, we got that through our side, negotiated, we got a lot of conservative things, but when I'm office, it will be this, 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 right? But no, he didn't want to do that because he thought it would actually work and it would take that away from him. So he doesn't give a fuck who gets across the border. Terrorists, drugs, rapists, people from insane asylums. He specifically told Republicans, don't vote for it. I want that to continue. He said, I will take credit for killing the border bill. So any fentanyl that got through after the time when the funding for that bill that would have paid for machines to detect the fentanyl coming across the border, any of the fentanyl that passes after that is all on Donald Trump 100%. Nobody had 100% of the blame up to this point because it's a very complex issue. But from that point forward, Donald Trump claimed it as his fucking own. Okay, the sexualization of children. Okay, fuckwad, listen. Tell you what, when you do a montage on the number of right-wing youth pastors or fucking Trump appointees or campaign people that have been arrested for child porn or having sex with children, who Trump still included in his campaign after they were charged, just that, you don't have to do all of them. Just the ones that are still being asked to work with them after they were charged and then they were found guilty. And then we'll talk about your concerns about the sexualization of children. Because I got to tell you, a kid being trans is not the sexualizing of that child. There's a lot more to your life than your gender or your biological sex. Your humanity and your character are a much bigger part of who you are. But if there's one of those things is standing in the way of your expression as a human being, then answering that can complete your road to being a full human being. I mean, and again, this is just an easy thing to grab onto because they can sell this idea that Democrats are trying to turn your boys into girls and your girls into boys. It's fucking stupid. But if you want to talk about that, I'm down. Let's have a sit down about it. But you got to start talking about all the youth pastors that are getting busted for having sex with kids and for organizing groups trading child porn. And you need to talk about the number of people who are in the Trump organization and the Trump campaign that actively were engaged in this kind of shit. Because it's in the dozens and you haven't covered fucking one. And then what was the third one? I forgot. It was also fucking stupid.
Border, sexualization of children, we don't like, and endless wars.
Okay, endless wars. Joe Biden hasn't started a new war. Vladimir Putin started a new war, and we're helping an ally. Hamas started a new war, and we're helping an ally. But let me be abundantly clear. You know how we know at this point that globalist is just a code word for Jews? You know, I'm sure there are some people who use globalist in a way that they don't mean it. There's like 3 of those people. Everybody else, when they say globalist, they are specifically, they mean the Jews that run the world. The people who say globalist mean that in World War II, Jews were on both sides and they were funding the whole thing and then they made money off of it. So that, let's be abundantly clear. The whole globalist thing is just a cover for Jews. Endless wars is also meaning fuck the Middle East, Jews and all, let them kill each other. The endless wars part are the religious wars. There are no other endless wars. World War II was not an endless war. Even Afghanistan, it fucking ended. Biden stopped the longest war we'd ever had. Biden brought it to a close. And you guys do nothing but shit on him for getting us out of Afghanistan. And according to Trump, we were going to get out with beauty and grace, but we were going to stay because we're going to keep Bagram. Well, there's no fucking way that you keep Bagram without fighting all the time. Because the area that Bagram is in, north of Kabul, is completely fucking surrounded by ISIS. Who do you think the fucking suicide bomber was, dipshit? So fuck you on the border. You don't know what you're talking about, and the wall made it worse. Sexualization of children is, it's like caring about, it's like saying you're pro-life and you don't give a fuck about like 30-round magazines and fucking AR-15s and crazy people being able to get guns and no rules on red flag laws and no comprehensive background checks and all that kind of shit. Like, fuck you, you don't care. Stop pretending to care. You only care about it in ways that, in areas where it makes the people you're trying to appeal to squeamish. That's the only time you give a shit about it. And endless wars, what you mean is the Middle East. Fuck the Jews. Fuck Israel. We shouldn't be backing them. It's all going to fall apart. It's a waste of time, and screw them. That's what you mean. That's what he means. This is Greg Kelly saying, fuck the Jews, fuck Israel. Because as soon as Israel collapses, then all the Jews will have to run up to Armageddon, the hillside, and stand there, and Jesus will come back and give them one last chance to accept him as their Lord and Savior. And then if they say no, they'll get their throat slit, and then he'll get about the business of sending, horsemen to kill all the Muslims. That's how that story plays out. The end of Israel is the beginning of Christendom. So in certain Christian circles, and cycles, I guess, in certain Christian circles, bringing about the end of Israel is calling Jesus's bluff. And 56 English Crusaders 2.0. No, the Crusaders ultimately themselves weren't part and parcel to that. That's a whole nother story. It might be like neo-crusaders or people who view them as such, but they're lazy, dopey fucks like him.
Those are the big three. But what about everything else? Here's a little clever, maybe not so mnemonic device. We call it...
Oh my God. This is where he stacks up Victory USA. And these are the issues. Also, by the way, those are not policies. Those are issues. Or even just, in many ways, they're just kind of words and phrases that trigger people. Border is not a policy. Right? No endless wars. How do you bring them to a close? What are you talking about? Which ones are endless? What do you mean? He can't even articulate what he means by endless wars.
Victory USA, okay?
Oh, what a dipshit.
This pretty much sums up the MAGA agenda, all right? Let's start with victory.
Sure. Winning at all cost.
The V is for voter ID. Who has a problem with
Nobody has a problem with voter ID, but it should be federal. You should get a national ID card that has all your hiring information on it, that has a strict rule about misuse. So if somebody steals it or steals your social security number in that same way, that there's a mandatory 5 years in jail, and no state entity can take it away from you. So you can always use it as identification. It also should either be associated with your iris or your thumbprint, so that it's on file, so that even if you lose it or it gets destroyed or whatever, you can still be identified through your ID as a U.S. citizen by your iris or your thumbprint. But they view that as the mark of the beast, and so they won't allow for that. Immigration, okay.
With that, who could? I for immigration, the border, crime.
Wait a minute. Again, these aren't policies, fuckhead. Immigration, border, we have a border. Are you for the border bill or not?
Reduction.
Crime reduction. How? Because I'm for crime reduction. I love the idea of crime reduction, unless it involves murdering people who are suspected of being drug dealers because of a quick trial, which I would argue when capital punishment is on the line should be something we avoid so we don't make an accidental mistake and kill someone who's innocent. But I don't think crime reduction through murdering people who sell weed, for example, is a way of doing it. It would certainly technically reduce crime. Trade fair. I don't know what that means. Fair trade or free trade? What do you mean? What is fair trade? He means reciprocal tariffs, which would cost every American, and it wouldn't even, again, it's not even with China. He's talking about it with Europe. He's just trying to put the fucking, Italian and French wine companies out of business. And the fucking cheese, have Wisconsin put fucking French brie out of business and shit like that. It's dopey. Opportunity. economic and health? What do you mean? You have the opportunity to go broke and get cancer?
Getting tough on crime.
Rights, parental censorship, meaning total free speech. So you're a free speech absolutist. So Greg is pro-child porn. Cool. And parental rights? So if a parent wants their kid to transition and get even if their kid is still a minor, they should have the right to what? Total physical transition if their kid says so and the parent agrees. That's parental rights. Hey, it's your kid. You can do whatever the fuck you want with them, I guess, right? Are you for that, Greg? Because I don't think so. Again, these are not policies. These are just words.
How about some fair
youth? Protect our kids. Well, certainly not from guns, you dumb motherfucker.
Trade with China, maybe tariffs. Opportunity, economic and health. That is code for canceling Obamacare. I hope they do that.
Sorry, opportunity is code. Opportunity means canceling the Affordable Care Act so that people who have pre-existing conditions, lifelong asthma, seizures, that kind of stuff, that they can run out of, they can hit the limit and never be able to have any insurance payments ever again at some point in their life, very early if they have a lifelong chronic disease.
Parental rights, no more censorship, and yes,
no more censorship, none. By the way, what do you mean by censorship? You mean private organizations taking down tweets because you can't say Hitler was right in a thread about Jews because it affects their advertising bottom line and they get mad and take it down. So you want the government, wait. You want the government to force private groups to allow anyone to post anything they want on their site. Okay, so you want the government to force Newsmax to put my show on their website. What's the difference? Right? If Twitter thinks something's, bigoted or dangerous or might kill off their viewer base and they take it down, and the government says, nope, I don't care, you have to let them post, like a bunch of commie gobbledygook, like he's saying, then how's that different from then Newsmax has to put my show on their network? Because you're censoring me. Why is Newsmax censoring the greatest live stream in the history of the goddamn world? Why do you hate freedom, Newsmax?
Protecting children. As far as USA, United States over globalism, okay? That's what we...
United States over globalism. So the Jews will not replace us.
We like the United States better than globalism. We like strength.
Also, what do you mean? Explain globalism to me. Because I think you mean like some sort of weird one world government idea, or somehow like the World Economic Forum is telling us what to do when they're fucking not. Or we would have lowered our interest rates a long time ago and we'd be fucked. Strength?
Peace through strength, and start taking action against cartels, against the swamp.
Okay, again, strength. How do you define strength? If we're not engaged with the globe, what do we need the strength for? Just defensive? Just going to wall off America, will become a gated community? And also action against cartels in the swamp. Would you think we're not arresting people? Jesus Christ, man. They just busted one of the biggest cartel guys when they lured him into the fucking country and the FBI caught him. That same organization that you want defunded because they fucking got a rightful warrant and went into Mar-a-Lago and found classified documents with human intel and empty fucking folders that were missing their classified documents, which they later found near a printer in his desk. There was a fucking copy machine in the same room where they were all boxed. That same organization, the FBI, that found all that stuff, they've been busting people in the cartels like fucking crazy. They've also, by the way, been arresting people who did damage during the Antifa riots, who did damage during the George Floyd riots, the actual rioters versus the protesters. Do you give a fuck? Of course you don't. Because if you did, then it would eat into your narrative and then you can't talk about that. Right. They're even still looking for a bunch of them. You look on the FBI's website, they're still fucking looking for a bunch of people that caused damage in Portland, hashtag RIP Portland, and Seattle, both where I will be next week. Thursday, Seattle at the Crocodile, Friday at Dante's in Portland. Oh, my friends, it's going to be a grunge tour, a little mini Nerd Halen grunge tour. Thursday, Friday next week, and then Saturday, Sexy Liberal in Portland. Very excited, hashtag RIP Portland. It'll be nice to play the Crater again. So again, here's the thing. He's saying this is policy. You got to take action. All right, what action? And also, are you taking the same action against the cartels in the swamp? Because according to Donald Trump, he wants to he wants to bomb Mexico. He literally is like, we'll bomb the cartels in Mexico, whether Mexico likes it or not. So is he going to bomb the swamp too? If he does, once Steve Bannon gets out of jail, he's going to want to fucking move because he lives right next to all those motherfuckers. It's almost as if he's one of them.
It all works, doesn't it? And
no, it doesn't. That's not the works, dummy. How does it work? What's the part? And by the way, define United States over globalism. What do you mean? We like the United States more than globalism. You mean America first. How? What does that mean? It's a statement. These are fucking bumpers. They're not even bumper stickers. Bumper stickers are at least charming and occasionally rhyme.
You need a guy like Trump to make it happen.
No, you don't. Because he didn't make it happen last time, and he's not going to do it this time.
Watch out.
Wait, let me fix my hair. Get my shoes. I don't want people taking pictures of my shoes because they'll see that my lifts fell out.
And that's the key, fighting. That was a great...
Why is that the key? Why is that fighting? He was shot by a Republican, dipshit. What does this have to do? Again, you're just making the argument that you're not in a cult. That's how a cult reacts, you dumb motherfucker. You just, Victory USA, I gotta tell you, Scientology has a more cogent system of explaining how you get clear than you do. This is fucking Lincoln Logs level cult bullshit.
Great moment, but we knew he was a fighter. Basically, the night of the...
We knew he was a faller. What do you mean we knew he was a fighter? He dove to the ground and he's a griper. And he was totally fine sticking his fucking fist out and going fight, fight, fight when everybody there is covering his entire internal organs and they just told him the shooter had already been shot in the fucking head.
The news reports after he declared for president, he had to fight every step of the way. Lots of people have agendas, but he fought for it.
Fought for what? The only people he fought with for that shit was the rest of the Republican Party. And he lost 40% of the Republican primary vote, in many cases to a woman who was never going to get elected by the general Republican electorate because she's brown and female. But they still voted for her after she dropped out just to say fuck you to him. That's your guys. That's your voters.
I mean, look at... Do they really mean...
Just look at
it when they say fight?
In the Senate, Democrats are going to fight like hell.
We're going to fight like hell.
So I'm going to fight like hell.
We'll fight like hell to make sure that we act.
As long as I'm president of the United States, I'm going to fight like hell.
Sure you are. Right. He's at the beach right now.
Yeah, relaxing. You know why? Because he passed an infrastructure bill, and he could, and he's part of the bill he passed is going to remove lead pipes from the drinking water in this country over the next 10 years. So he's saved somewhere in the order of 30 to 70 million lives by himself over the next 4 decades just from that action alone. Never mind people who are sitting on a bridge and it's not falling out from under them. He deserves a day at the beach, Greg, and you deserve another day on the bus.
And happy Kamala. Oh boy, she is thrilled.
Kamala. Her name is pronounced Kamala. Grieg.
Won the whole thing without doing a damn thing.
Except being a sitting senator, becoming vice president, being part of a winning ticket that trounced your guy, and then succeeding the president when he comes, which is what a vice president is supposed to do, and what you vote for when you vote for a team, that if one of them doesn't continue, the other would continue, whether it's in the context of actually being in office and they pass away and they become the president, or the next one in line. We're obviously cool with that, or they wouldn't have gotten that many votes. Or, I mean, there's always a chance that the reason why she and Biden did so well is that Trump's a massive loser and a fuck up, and his cult base is ever dwindling. So there's that.
She did not have to fight. She didn't even have to try.
Dude, she's a woman of color. She technically, as the vice president of the United States, has fewer rights than any vice president that has ever existed, because she is female. Because even as the vice president, if she did not have access to, military doctors and the like, there are states where there would not be available services if she had something go wrong with her uterus and they had to argue about it. Just letting you know. Fuck you.
It's amazing. When you run for president, it's supposed to be a battle. And you come out, I'm told, kind of better for the battle.
Well, then what happened to Trump? Because he's a fucking mess.
Take a look at it. Even some presidents I don't like. George W. Bush, we got to give him this. He declared he ran for president for a year and a half. I mean, that's what they do.
And he lost. But the Supreme Court gave it to him.
You got to do if you want the big job.
He was also one of the dumbest presidents we've ever had. He didn't get better. Show the shit that happened after he became president. I spent a year and a half in there. It didn't stop him from going, fool me once, won't get fooled again. Right? It didn't stop him from trying to walk out locked doors. He can dodge a shoe like a motherfucker, though. I'll give him that.
Job, right? Even Obama, almost 2 years at it, right? This is how it works, everybody. Trump, 2 campaigns. The first one, almost a year and a half. The second one that he's in right now, 2 years.
Right. He declared early because he got a notice that he was going to be indicted, and he thought by being a candidate that would protect him. That it's not a good idea to draw attention to the fact that he declared that early, because it points out, like, why would he have to do that? If he's that popular and they like him, why would he have to start officially campaigning so early? It's because the Department of Justice, because he has Secret Service protection, and because he was a former president, notified him that he was going to be indicted, and he decided, I'll start running early to protect myself, to claim that they are coming after me because I am running. So before they hand me the indictment, I'm going to declare my presidency. That's why the 2 years, dum-dum.
2 years. And they just gave it to Kamala.
Kamala, you tit.
Didn't have to fight to get it. She doesn't have to fight to keep it. She's just going to be...
Yeah, she does. And by the way, you do realize if the public thinks this, none of us have to vote for her, but most of us are. A lot more than are going to vote for your dumbass.
Sitting pretty this whole way. I think that's the plan. And
she is very pretty. That is true. I think she's standing in that picture, but
there's a chance they could get away with it. We are going to fight like hell, of course.
Also, get away with what? She's still got to win the election, dummy. If she bamboozled the Democratic Party, then that's on us. Then Democrats will go, what the hell? I'm voting for Trump. This is horrifying. Clutch the pearls. None of us are doing that. That's what's freaking you out. Good Lord. And we're supposed to believe that this asshole is really worried about us? Oh my God, the Democrats are having their choices taken away from them. You're kidding, right? Trump lost 40% of the vote, and he didn't engage in debates with the other candidates at all. Biden got like 80 to 90% the entire time. That's why you guys keep saying he got 14 million votes. Fucking nobody came close. Dean Phillips didn't come close. RFK Jr. certainly fucking didn't. Certainly Marianne Williamson didn't.
Of course. You know, in retrospect, we got to give Joe Biden a little bit of credit. Just a little bit. You know, when he was in the basement, all cooped up?
Hey, asshole. Basements aren't at ground level. See what's behind that? See why they have the black curtains up, shithead? It's because those are doors that open onto the backyard. He's not in a basement. You know who was in the basement, though, about this time? Donald Trump. Yeah, he ran down into the bunker underneath the White House because he was afraid that the protesters were going to charge in there, and he wanted to see if it was a good place to hide.
I mean, this was a form of cheating, right? Hiding from...
No. It was smart. It was strategic. There was a contagious disease going everywhere. It almost killed your dude. It made him prematurely demented. You can argue that Trump catching COVID is part of the reason why his brain is failing as bad as it is, because he caught it when there was no vaccine yet.
From the campaign trail, at least the guy did interviews, and technically they asked him questions. I mean, it was rehearsed, it was canned.
No, it wasn't.
Had a teleprompter, but at least they went through the motions.
I'm wondering what you think of the idea of opening up by Easter, packing churches, and how long do you expect people will have to actually self-isolate?
Well, look, based on the data I'm getting from the medical experts.
Mr. Vice President, what?
And by the way, you're supposed to show him using a teleprompter. And when he says, based on the data I'm getting from medical experts, he picks up a piece of paper to relay the data that he is getting. So he's not just going, I'm talking out of my ass like Captain Light Bulb Up the Ass
What do you
is.
make of the president's daily briefings that sometimes last over 2 hours and have his top scientists there, but appear to be used for a lot of different reasons?
Even with these softball questions, he still struggles.
Oh, and again, trying to find a way to talk about the craziness of the Trump world, especially when you're running for office, must be, especially back then, but must be very challenging in this regard because it is so fucking nuts. And again, how do you find a way? A lot of times politicians, what they do is they hear the question and then they try to dovetail their answer into what they really want to be talking about. But Donald Trump's shit was so far out in the fucking yonders that getting it back even to normal track on its topic was difficult, much less on your own. So, and they always do this. They cut him off when he's saying stuff or when he's considering what's being said. Or I'll show you.
But he took questions. Kamala.
He also didn't struggle. You're not showing him struggle. And also, the struggle that you were just fucking showing him was him struggling to articulate, like a lot of us do, what the fuck is Donald Trump doing? What does it mean? How the hell he's supposed to be doing these briefings? He doesn't pay attention. They're afraid to share details with him in some cases because he shares them over fucking chocolate cake at Mar-a-Lago within earshot of God knows fucking who. It boggles the mind. Like, by the way, what's crazy is, and this is how you can prove, again, back on the theme that it's a fucking cult, is that Greg Kelly thinks it's easy to explain. This is just America first. America first. Like he has these Pavlovian responses.
Literally, all she's got to do, as if she's like Princess Diana, get on the airplane, the ceremony. Ooh, look at her. What a girl boss. That soldier just saluted her. Going up the plane.
She's the sitting vice president, you tit.
You know, and watch how she waves, right? This is like a royalty thing. I know all presidents, vice presidents do this, but there's...
Look at that. This is so gross. I mean, they all do it, but it's gross when she does it. I think because she's brown and a female. I think that's what it is. My God.
A little bit much. Hello, you peasants. Yes, I'm not going to be talking to you.
Holy shit. At least she's waving to actual people. Trump waves to literally no one. You don't think that's odd? That more proof Greg Kelly's in a cult. She's waving to actual people before she gets on the plane, right? He's waving, and you can see there's no one there.
Anytime soon, is she going to be able to take the swamp? The swamp is going to take her. If she gets in there, and I really hope she doesn't, this whole system is going to turn on her at some point, and she.
Why? What are you talking about? I thought the swamp works with Democrats.
Well, she'll be owned by them. She wouldn't.
Again, why? Why would she be? Why would they have to own her? Isn't she on the same page as they are? I mean, aren't you? Isn't the argument against her from the right that she wants to lead all these like left-leaning deep state people, and she's exactly the person they're installing her because they're all like-minded?
Didn't dare fight them. Kamala versus 9.1 million employees.
How many were there when Trump took office? Same number. How many were there when he left? Same number. What are you talking about? This is so weird.
You know who could take it? Because he's taken it before.
J.D. Vance. Wait, what it are we talking about? I was just thinking like that drone with a penis on it that I saw, and never mind.
Trump, okay? The guy is, one of the many reasons why they're so afraid of him is because
he's an adjudicated rapist and a fraudster, and he shared national secrets with the Russians and got 2 of our agents and probably 3 other Israeli agents murdered. And he sucks up to every authoritarian in the world and tries to undermine NATO. And because he's financially, he needs Russian money and Chinese money to stay afloat, or he's fucked. Now Saudi money even more so. That's not why. I'm kidding. What are you saying? Something about they're scared of him because parental rights.
He has the experience at this point.
He does? What first of all, did he need it before? I think that was the whole point of being an outsider. So you're saying he's running as an insider. He knows now how to control these people. Right?
To actually do it. And
do what? Do what, you absolute weirdo? Honest to God, I don't know what the fuck Greg has said so far. Does anybody know what this, other than reading off that weird little list of letters, does anybody know what the fuck Greg is talking about at all? I honestly don't know. This is increasingly odd. It just seems like it's like refrigerator magnets of grievance from the Jesse Waters collection, and he just tripped on his way across the kitchen, and they all just stuck on the fucking fridge, and he's just reading them in whatever order they came up. It's odd, is it not? Chat room, does anybody? I mean, it's a bunch of gross shit, and it definitely is. It's kind of thematically in the zone of MAGA land, right? But there's just nothing there. It's shockingly nothing there. Like it looks like he's filling time. I've seen Greg. I've seen Glenn Beck do this a few times. You and I know we've watched some Glenn Beck videos, and you're like, clearly when he's making himself yawn, and he's like, I just got to fill the time until the break. That's what this feels like, except Greg really means it. Like, Glenn Beck is arguably Machiavellian and full of shit. He's a flim-flam man. But Greg feels like he's bored with his own cult. And by the way, Michael, thank you for the super chat. My goodness. Thank you so much. And Talk Soup, you lovely person. And Deanne, thank you. And Lisa, thank you so much. And Christine, thank you guys for the super chats and the Venmos and the stuff like that and the Patreon and all that. All right. Now, let's back to where we were. I still, honest to God, like, this is kind of amazing. I don't even know what this fucking point is. Like, Trump took on the bureaucracy of 9.1 million federal workforce throughout the nation, right? Who are these people that he supposedly knows how to handle?
The swamp is a crazy, scary place these days.
Explain. What do you mean? What swamp? What's crazy and scary about the swamp? What's swampy about it, dum-dum? What do you mean? What do you even fucking mean? Explain the swamp to me. That's just first principles. You're a big Elon Musk suck-up, right? The fuck are you talking about? Just fucking... Hold on. I'm almost at this point where I'm like, say swamp again, motherfucker. Say swamp again. What the fuck are you talking about? Swamp. Swamp this, you piece of shit. Swamp. What do you mean? Drain the swamp. What? So the alligators can walk around and eat the fish as they lay on the ground? But Jesus Christ, he built a brand new fucking swamp. Why would you expect a dude who moved to Florida right after he left office to drain any fucking swamp? It's like he moved down there because he missed it. Jesus Christ. Say swamp again, you dipshit. Say swamp again. Say swamp again, motherfucker. Say swamp again.
Think about it. Since last month, a lot of us believe a good portion of the government must have had something to do with President Trump, the attempted assassination.
A good portion of it? What, the Department of Transportation? Who is the big? There's a big coordination between the FAA and the USDA. Who coordinated with it? By the way, if they were coordinating on this, you think they'd miss, you dumb motherfucker? I'm dead serious. If I'm supposed to be scared of the swamp and the deep state and the federal and blah and the globalists and da-da-da, and they were behind the Trump assassination and they couldn't hit that fat dopey motherfucker as slow as he moves and as predictable as he is, why should I be, explain to me why I should be scared of the deep state or the swamp or the federal government or the CIA or the FBI or the DNI or any of these people, right? If they can't hit that dumb motherfucker. Because if they were coordinating it, they meant to miss. In which case, what were they trying to do for him? Were they trying to scare him to put RFK on the ticket? Or were they trying to like help him win? Because honest to God, you think they would actually, that Joe Biden and big government are in cahoots and they missed? What, the only way they could miss is if they wanted to miss. If it was that kind of a coordinated thing, right? The only way they could miss is if they wanted to miss.
And the coup against Joe Biden.
Wasn't a coup. Wasn't a coup. It's not a coup. He's still president of the United States, by the way. Coups usually involve the military and you getting removed from office and replaced. He's not. She's still got to win the election, dummy. That's why it's not a coup.
What's Kamala going to do up against this stuff?
Legislate, navigate, communicate.
She's going to go along with it, okay? She'll have no choice, no trouble. She'll make no trouble, whatever.
What? So, I'm sorry. So, at this point, the deep state organized a coup against Joe Biden and tried to assassinate Trump and missed so that they could scare Kamala Harris into doing what she's already going to do. Because she's a big commie. Okay. I'm getting increasingly lost. I didn't think that was possible. This is getting, I mean, obviously I never expected him to clarify, but I didn't expect him to get dumber as we got along or more disconnected. Can anybody follow who's in charge of they want Kamala or they don't? Did they shoot at Trump because they were trying to kill him and because they want her in place, or because they can control her, or they had to take a shot at, they couldn't control Joe, so they had to take a shot at Trump because they couldn't control him, but they missed? All right, I got nothing. I can't make this work, Greg. I can't do it. None of us can. None of us can this Gordian knot of logistical fucking ropey turds you put together, we're all lost. It just stinks and we want to walk away.
She'll get on the plane and she'll wave. And by the way, this plane thing is a big deal. Take a look at this video. Every time she got on Air Force Two, she had her social media director take a picture of it. Like, look at me, I'm a girl boss and I'm getting on my own plane.
The They do this with fucking J.D. Vance, and he's not even VP yet. What are you talking about? They all do this.
This is one of the reasons you want somebody like Donald Trump who's not dazzled by all the silly toys you get when you're president.
What? By the way, isn't that the helicopter that went down with two of his partners in it? His casino buddies that died? The ones who knew that his father was giving him a $15 million loan by buying a bunch of chips and never bringing them back? Basically just throwing them in the ocean so he could keep the money?
This guy's been flying in his own plane and helicopter since the 1980s.
Yeah, and it smells like aqua velva and hot dog water. Jesus Christ. It's a dump. He doesn't pay his fuel bills. He doesn't service the fucking thing.
40 years. And don't forget this.
By the way, that's when his dad ran the company. His dad owned that plane. That is not Donald Trump's plane. That is Fred Trump's helicopter. That was all that money was all Fred Trump's. In 1988, that wasn't his. He was just a fucking passenger. He was a second-generation rich kid.
One of the biggest challenges he has, jealous people. So
that's what it is. Yeah, that's true. Man, they wish they were as fit and as loved as he is. They wish they could be on flags with their head on Rocky's body. They wish they could sell NFT cards to gullible dipshits. If you buy 75 of them for $99 a piece, you can go to dinner and he'll sign a baseball card for you.
These guys had to get into power to get all that stuff. They had to become.
Okay, first of all, certainly not him. I mean, he was the head of the CIA during the 60s and vice president and then president, whatever. But the rest of these guys also, none of these guys, and I have problems with a couple of them, obviously that guy in the middle and the guy on the end, none of them started their careers denying black people the right to rent in their buildings.
Become president to get their own plane and helicopter. Sometimes it's as simple as that.
Ew. First of all, why would you lick your lips the idea of having a helicopter? You weirdo. Secondly, you think that's what they like? You think that's the best part? I got news for you. Clinton's cigars weren't fancy. You know what I'm saying? And the rest of these guys seem to be enjoying the simple life. Obama's definitely got some money and he's using it well. He's living the high life and he's earned it. And I'm happy for him. He and Michelle are doing just fine. But they didn't get it because they were president. They got it afterwards.
And this swamp thing, the more time goes by, the more we're learning actually in real time what's happening. It's amazing.
What is that? What swamp thing? I appreciate it. Adrian Barbeau, whatever. Oh, yeah.
You used to have to wait decades. When Richard Nixon went down for Watergate, he covered up the break-in of the Democrat National Headquarters, correct? Right. And he used law enforcement incorrectly. No, way more complicated. It looks like the deep state tried to do him in because he was making peace with China and the Soviet Union.
Which you're for, I guess, now. Because we're not talking about Russia and imperial China. We're talking about communist China and the USSR. So the deep state was protecting America from our president getting too cozy with commies. Now, that's the story?
And they didn't want that. Here's the 37th president.
What? And you do?
A few years after retiring.
Do you think there was or could have been a CIA conspiracy to remove you from office?
I think I never really thought the things I think I was hit with an anti-Jew ray, which is why I would wander around on tape yelling about Jews and drinking and screaming at paintings.
Don't know.
I know many people think so. I would say that I've found it difficult to understand why the CIA, which apparently had advanced knowledge of the break-in, didn't inform me. I must say, too, the CIA had motive. It was no secret.
Sorry, the CIA had advanced knowledge that your operatives were going to break into the Democratic National Committee headquarters, and they didn't let you know that your operatives were about to break in to the Democratic National headquarters. Wouldn't you think that did they tip off the guard? Is that the idea? They just waited? Why didn't they let me know that I was gonna get caught? What?
That I was dissatisfied with the CIA, with its reports, and particularly with their appraisals of Soviet strength and our other problems around the world.
You think they feared you?
No question about it, and they had reason to. I was going to shape up that organization and the Defense Department, the whole government for that matter.
Wow. Wow.
Wow, what a guy. So I was going to, and how are you going to do that? Well, get the Jews out for one.
Oh, isn't that incredible?
No, it's not. It's a disgraced ex-president painting back over his failings.
This has not received nearly enough attention from historians and beyond.
Because it is simply his emotional take on it and his bullshit trying to rehab his image. Did the operatives break in at his order and as part of the attempt to reelect him? Yes. Did he know about it beforehand? Yes. Did he allow for it to happen? Was it a coordinated effort with his campaign? Yes. Who gives a fuck what he thinks about the CIA? And why, again, would the CIA tell him that his operatives were breaking into the DNC if they knew about it? Why, by the way, the CIA doesn't do shit inside the United States. They might be aware of it, but that's not their jurisdiction. And at that time, which was very pre-9/11, the CIA and the FBI did not coordinate on a bunch of things, and they certainly didn't go tattle on the fucking president to the FBI.
I wish he could have updated Trump. You know, they were friends. They actually...
Yeah, turds of a feather.
They were friends. They lived on the...
Yeah, him, Roy Cohn, Jeffrey Epstein. He knows all the best people, Greg.
Same block for a period of time. It happened to Nixon. It's happened to Trump.
He got caught red-handed, and he recognized in front of the country that he was a disgrace, unlike Trump.
It's happening to Trump. These three-letter agencies all over the place. Do you trust them? You shouldn't.
Yes, I do.
I can't believe it. I still feel kind of weird calling out the FBI and the CIA and all these agencies. I grew up thinking that they were the good guys.
They are, but you're in a cult. Back to our initial premise, Greg.
No, they're not. I mean, Comey and Wray, the last two FBI directors, the stuff that they pulled. Let's start with Comey.
Yeah, tell me what Comey did. He got Trump elected with his little announcement about Hillary Clinton. Trump owes his presidency to James Comey. And then he fired him because he was afraid he was gonna catch him in his fucking footsie with the Russians. So he got rid of him, and then he put this guy in. I don't want to hear about any problem you have with this fucking guy is on Trump. He picked him. He didn't have to replace Comey. He chose to, and he replaced him with this fucking guy. I mean, at this point, stop breaking the law, asshole!
Ran that crossfire hurricane operation to get Trump, and they bragged about it to each other, boasting about their power. Strzok, Page, this infamous, they should have rebranded the FBI right then and there. You're going to stop an election?
No. Stop him as president because they knew he was engaged with the Russians. They knew he was colluding, to use the word Trump seems to hate more than any other. They knew he was colluding with the Russians.
They did, or tried to, and they got $2 million. $2 million for their trouble. You know what the FBI is supposed to do for elections? None of this stuff. They have a very specified role when it comes to election stuff. It's this.
The FBI investigates federal election crimes that generally fall into three categories: campaign finance crimes, vote.
Right. That would be Russian money finding its way into the Trump campaign through a myriad of angles, including the NRA.
Ballot fraud, and civil rights.
Right. There was ballot fraud, not enough to change the election. Most of it was Trumpies trying to vote twice.
Rights violations.
Wow, that's pretty dry, and that's A-OK. That's what it says in the rule book. But what do they really do? They're out of control. Just ask Mark Zuckerberg. He's said it before, and he's saying it again in writing, but who remembers the Joe Rogan moment?
There was a lot of attention on Twitter during the election because of the Hunter Biden laptop story. The New York
we
Post.
had that too.
Yeah, so you guys censored that as well?
Basically, the background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, like, you should be on high alert. There was we thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump of that's similar to that. So just be vigilant.
How about that?
Yeah, it seems pretty cut and dry. You can be vigilant and still post a story you think is real, but they knew it wasn't. By the way, hey, Greg, you ever seen the laptop? Hey, Zuckerberg, you ever seen the laptop? Hey, Joe Rogan, have you ever seen the laptop? I guarantee you've got dozens of pictures on your phone of meals you've had. You've got dozens of pictures at your disposal of meals strangers have fucking had. We live in the most photographed time in history, and nobody's ever fucking seen this thing. Except me, of course, in my chat room. Wait, who has it right now? Who has it in the chat room right now? Somebody's got to be keeping track on it, right?
It's not fighting election fraud. That's election interference. That's election fraud right there.
No, it isn't. You've never seen the laptop. You don't even know what you're talking about. It doesn't exist. There is no Hunter Biden laptop. Eat me.
Busted. Now, Zuckerberg, for whatever reason, is now putting this in writing. It's one thing to say it on a podcast, but now he lawyered up and had Facebook send an official letter to the House Judiciary Committee.
Also, this has nothing to do with the election stuff. 2020, what they were talking about in that last one, that was when Trump was fucking president and ran everything. Joe Biden was a private citizen at that time. This is about COVID.
In 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration
repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content. Not all of it, not what kind specifically. And also pressured to what end? What was the pressure?
Including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams, Facebook teams, for months to censor certain COVID-19.
Okay, first of all, I got to say for the record, I am now bored with Greg and annoyed because he has just rambled down another alleyway of nonsense. And the issue I have most of all with Greg, and I went overtime again, even though I started early, the biggest issue I have with this is that he's trailing off into like well-tread territory of bullshit that I've covered a dozen fucking times at least, even just on his show, much less everywhere else. That means nothing. I've covered it so many fucking times, but I was promised, Greg, with that video, was Kamala Harris wants the world to know she's a girl boss, which apparently you got entirely because there are 6 videos of her walking up the stairs to an airplane that you don't think she deserves to be on because she's a woman of color who's the vice president of the United States of America. You fucking tool. Other than that, I have no opinion. You're watching Hal Sparks Megaworldwide, the greatest live stream that has ever existed in the history of live streams. Tomorrow, by the way, I've got my family FaceTime, so the show will be on an hour later in the afternoon. It's at 4 o'clock, but I will be coming on earlier so that I can do yet another Project 2025 episode. And I apologize if those are a little bit dry, but I am committed to making sure that they are available as single videos in the future for Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, all those. We're going to chapter those out specifically, and then there you go. And you can always fast forward past them or join me later. But I'll do that earlier and at off times so it's not conflicting with the regular shows. But I want to get all those videos. I want to go through all of them as dry as they are, because I want people to be aware that Donald Trump is all over those things, that the people involved in them are all over these things, and that they have a cogent strategy that they intend to carry out in the transition and in the White House, basically where the Heritage Foundation puppets Donald Trump and he just agrees to do whatever they want for whatever they're going to pay him with after the fact. So there you go. I love you guys, and thank you so much. And yes, it's very 1984. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And don't forget, always take care of the kidney.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart.
Yeesh. Thank you guys so much. Hit that like on the way out. Really appreciate it. Much love to you guys. Thank you for the support. Thank you for being here. Thanks for your eyeballs. Oh, I adore you guys. Okay, bye. Midwestern goodbye. Midwestern goodbye. I'm sorry.